Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
What do you guys want to talk about?
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
The lines are blurred between the living and the dead.
I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Can I just watch a wrestling show ever in my life? I don't want the lines blurred between the living and the dead, Rich. I just want to watch guys wrestle.
Rich Crage.
He's wearing it.
He's wearing it. Shirt. It's a button-up shirt. It's blue and it's purple, and there are purple drafts all over his fucking shirt. Apologize to me right now, everybody.
Rich, take that dub.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening? How are you?
How are you?
Doing well. Did a throwback intro there, but throwing it all the way back to a year ago, where we talked about NWA Samhain, the original NWA Samhain, and then I just realized that the other half of the segment was me talking about some terrible Kingdom segment with Adam Cole and the Kingdom. And here we are now. My TV just showed a segment with Adam Cole and the Kingdom, and it is the Halloween season. NWA Samhain is back up and running. I guess it's probably a good time to talk about the NWA Samhain, where the lines are blurred between the living and the dead and all that sort of stuff. We talked about that. That's the NWA's weird Halloween show that they're going to do. And we wondered, and you asked me at the top of the show here, offline, what the hell were they going to do for the show? How are they going to air this thing? Because now the NWA is no longer airing on the CW app. It is now airing on X, the Everything app, Elon Musk's formerly known as Twitter X site. And we were wondering, because they're doing this thing where they do these mega tapings, and then they split these mega tapings up into various episodes of NWA Power on X. And the NWA this week airing on 10/29, 2 days before Halloween, having just taped a Halloween-themed show over the weekend. Joe, what do you think they aired on Tuesday's show? Do you think they aired a segment or the part of NWA Samhain, or do you think that they concluded their NWA 76th anniversary shows?
I would guess that they aired NWA Samhain in full, being that it's Halloween week.
Great. 2 days before Halloween, October 29th, you do a whole Halloween-themed show with a bunch of Halloween-themed matches. That would make sense, right? You'd be wrong. They played the final of the NWA 76, final matches from NWA 76. So presumably, in this scenario, next week, presumably, we don't know. I guess you only find out until like the day prior or it airs. Presumably, next week, we will begin the spooky season of NWA Samhain, which will probably take upwards of 3 to 4 weeks, which is going to give us Halloween-themed content deep into November, and possibly even into December.
Now, hold on now. Where was the Beelzebub Bedlam match? Was that at Samhain?
That was at, I believe that was at NWA Samhain 2, yes.
All right. How about the casket match between Max the Impaler and Natalia Markova? Where was that?
That was at NWA Samhain. Okay. October 26th, Tampa, Florida. WEDU Studios, by the way.
Got it. Where was King Bees versus It Girls tag title match? Where'd that take place?
I hate to. I don't want to. I don't want to interrupt here, but what match did you say? Max the Impaler versus what was the match that you were just talking about?
Natalia Markova casket match.
Oh, I think was that last year, or was that this year's?
I'm asking you.
Okay, I don't know. I think this year, I double checked because I was like, that doesn't sound right. This year, Max the Impaler faced Carson Drake in a Hell Awaits match.
Okay.
hell
so, but the
awaits.
the Beelzebub Bedlam match.
I think that was last year, wasn't it?
That was last year too?
I think you're going to NWA Halloween 1. That was the Coke show.
Miserably Faithful versus Ill Begotten. That was last year as well.
I think that was last year. Yeah. Yes.
All right. So what about the ladder match between the midget wrestler? I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore, but
you were not.
Whatever. Eric Smalls versus Rolando. Where did that take place?
That took place at NWA Halloween last year.
Okay. All right. So if you go to their YouTube, it appears they're uploading the matches from last year's Halloween. I don't remember. Hold on a second.
Hold on. What?
I don't remember midget wrestler Eric Smalls in a ladder match. I don't, because I've never seen that man before in my life.
Okay, let's get NWA Halloween 2023 up. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And first, I have another important question for you. Why did you choose to open this show at NWA Halloween?
Because this is an NWA podcast. This is an NWA podcast. No, the main reason was I played the old clip of you last year getting very mad about Father Chase Mitchell saying, and we had a double dip last year because we had NWA Halloween and NXT Halloween Havoc, so you were obviously on edge. And don't worry, folks, we got NXT Halloween Havoc 2024 to talk about later today, and I know that you're going to be on edge about that. But the intro was you getting upset about Father James Mitchell saying, tonight the lines will be blurred between the living and the dead. And you were like, yeah, I just want to watch. Can I just watch wrestling? Can two people wrestle for a title? Like, it's all I'm asking for. So I figured it was a good time to start with NWA Halloween.
You're repeating the intro, but I don't hear the intro. That's what
correct.
People have to understand that. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on the intro. You could be burying me every week, for all I know, which you probably are. But that's what they've been uploading on the NWA YouTube over the last couple of days. So you're going to be surprised by this, but even though we previewed Halloween last week, I don't remember the matches. So I thought maybe these were the matches from this year's show.
No. So it actually doesn't look like any of the matches that you just mentioned were on last year's Halloween show. So run those back again. Let's run those back and give more time to the National Wrestling Alliance.
Happily. I gladly run these back.
The Ringer. Tell me if the Ringer is starting the wrestling show this week with NWA Halloween. You know what I mean? Like, let me know if Brian and Dave are starting Wrestling Observer Radio this week with fucking NWA Halloween and reading the card and reading the YouTube uploads of the NWA.
Sort this out.
Right. We got to come. We have to get to the bottom of this. We have to. If we don't, who else, Joe? If not us, who?
So 12 hours ago, they uploaded, and I'm just reading this verbatim, okay?
Okay.
The Beelzebub's Bedlam match, and they've misspelled Beelzebub, I believe. The alternate name for Satan.
Yes.
Beelzebub. Yes. I believe they've misspelled this. They spelled it Beelzebub. Beelzebub. That's wrong, right? Beelzebub is not correct.
Let me see. Let me double check that.
Isn't it Beelzebub or something? I believe
like
it.
Okay, so here's the exact spelling: BEELZEBUB.
I apologize to Billy Corgan and the fine people at the NWA who sent me a free Crockett Cup T-shirt a couple of years ago. They spelt it correctly. So the Beals, and I wear that shirt frequently. By the way. That is that NWA
shirt? Good
Crockett
quality
Cup
shirt. Good quality shirt.
It's the 2020. It's the Crockett Cup that the Briscoes won. So I proudly wear that shirt. And that is my I'm out of clothes shirt of choice. You know what I mean? When you get to the bottom of the drawer.
Yeah, I got some classic ones. Yeah.
That's my current I'm out of clothes shirt of choice. It's a nice fit. It's nice and tight on the guns, so my arms look good. I wear that shirt frequently. But all right, they spelt it right. The Beelzebub's Bedlam match, Miserably Faithful versus Ill Begotten, was uploaded 12 hours ago.
I am now here to tell you that was from August 27th, 2022. That was NWA 71 or 74 night 1.
2022. All right.
From the Chase Park Plaza Hotel. That was the 2 nights in St. Louis that did pretty well, remember?
Look, we reviewed all of this. I'm surprised we don't remember these classics. We had 4 days ago, they put up a casket match.
Okay.
Max the Impaler versus Natalia Markova.
All right. No, I don't remember that being on Samhain last year. So I hate to tell you, November 12th, 2022, Max the Impaler versus Natalia Markova, the Voodoo Queen casket match in Chalmette, Louisiana. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, at the Frederick J. Seeger Civic Center. CHALMETTE, Louisiana. Someone can correct me.
All
on
right.
that
Well, obviously none of these matches are from
even last year's Samhain.
Last year's Samhain even. So, yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
Well, that's the that's at Billy's NWA, I guess.
Yep. So get ready for late November. So you get to watch the Hell Awaits match sometime in November. You'll get the Hell Awaits match. So
do you
cool.
someday want to do a deep dive series on NWA USA, the full run, and just watch every episode and break them down? Is this something you'd like to do?
Probably. I think so. I think
Not
it's
me,
I think
so
it's
you're on
due.
your own.
Yeah, fuck.
So,
I don't know. Shit.
Yeah.
But
you just committed to it.
Yeah,
I'm not
I already
interested.
have to do it. Yeah, I got to do it. So NWA.
I roped you into it.
USA.
I fooled you.
Yeah.
I got you to say yes to that, and
like Beelzebub, fools many people into following him. You just did the same thing.
right.
Okay.
That's true. But now, if you want to do
59
Power
episodes.
Surge,
59 episodes.
Yeah,
7
59.
seasons, 59
Now-
episodes. Holy shit.
if you wanted to do Power Surge, now you're talking. Now I'm in. If you want to do Power
Surge. How
Remember-
many Power Surges were there?
Now, not to be confused with NWA USA Surge. Now, remember, they used to have like
Oh,
4 TV
There was
shows.
USA Surge too, right?
And Power Surge.
Oh
yeah.
god.
Yeah, they don't forget High Voltage, NWA High Voltage. So
With the cool song, they had the great song too, right?
what, High Voltage?
Yeah, I thought it had some like really like very loud, like a very loud '80s song for
Was it Dockin'? Like they
Yes.
always
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
So here's the best part about it. Somebody on Wikipedia, obviously. Now, God bless you, guy who edits the NWA, whoever who's ever tasked with, or whoever decides to spend their free time updating wikipedia.org/wiki/lists_of_NWA_power_episodes. God bless you.
Yeah.
They got ahead of themselves. They wrote season 20, Samhain 2, thinking surely this episode that would kick off this season would show us the first part of NWA Samhain, given that it is 2 days before Halloween. But they now have to update it, and now it says season 20, Samhain 2, NWA 76, part 5.
Wait, what do you mean season 20? They don't have Power anymore. What are you talking about?
I don't know. This guy keeps updating it. I guess they technically do have Power. They do have Power. The 1 week on X, on the Everything app, those are technically Power.
The Everything. So they don't eventually put these on YouTube. They're Power exclusive.
They're Power / Everything app exclusive. Yes.
So no, I mean they're YouTube exclusive is what I'm saying.
No, they're X exclusive.
They're right. This is a mess. They're X.
They're X exclusive. Yes.
The Everything app exclusive.
Correct.
Power.
Yes.
Well, Elon with another brilliant gambit.
Speed.
As he is secured. Yes. So you can't. Okay. So when these episodes of Power air on X, the Everything app, are they archived somewhere? Could you go watch them? Like, how's that work?
That's a great question, Joe.
Like, do I have to scroll down the timeline to when they?
I think
they
you do.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure you
how
got.
does that work? I don't know how any of that
I'm
works.
pretty sure you're scrolling.
Oh wait, okay. So they're pinned. All right, never mind. Their pinned tweet is, "Have you seen?" No, it's not their pinned tweet. You have to scroll down. It's halfway down the fucking timeline. Have you seen the latest episode of NWA Power?
It is actually pinned. I regret to. It is actually pinned. A 40-minute episode is now playing for me, pinned October 29th.
I see.
So
You're right. There's a pinned tweet. Listen, I gotta apologize to Billy Corgan and the good people at the NWA twice. But yeah, I was scrolling down the timeline and I found, I guess, when they originally fucking streamed it or something. So but yeah, they do pin it. What are the odds that 1 week they're just going to forget to pin it, and it's just going to disappear deep into their timeline under Kerry Morton retweets. Like, what is
very, very high? Yeah, it appears that there is on my XD Everything app. There is a tab that says highlights, and it appears that all the episodes are showing up on the highlights tab. So presumably that would be your archive for.
Oh, I see.
You see. So that's where that's where
highlights here.
I think.
Yeah. Not every YouTube account has a highlights tab, so maybe that's. Let's see, 29th, 22nd. Yeah, look at that. If you want to get caught up on Power and watch matches taped in May or whenever the fuck that was, that's your go-to spot. Click that highlights tab. I'm all fired up to not watch this stuff.
Right. I believe, to be fair to Billy Corgan's NWA, those were filmed in August, sir, not May. They're in August.
Well, whatever.
So they're only 2 months behind on their air dates. So what you're gonna get this week. So if you popped onto your XD Everything app this week, thinking, hey, I'm gonna get some Samhain in my life, some NWA Samhain, maybe the Hell Awaits match. You got Gags the Gimp defeated Alexander Lev by pinfall. Zion and your guy Magic Jake Dumas defeated Baron Von Storm and Jack Stain. And then in your main event, Thrill Billy Silas Mason defeated Colby Carino by pinfall.
That's what they're giving you this week?
That was what the October 29th episode of Power, a.k.a. NWA 76 Part 5 was.
Baron Von Storm is Tim Storm doing a Baron Von Raschke gimmick. Did you know that?
No.
Is he not on Twitter anymore? He doesn't have an @
he's smart. Well, he's a smart guy, so probably not.
Yeah, he's a teacher.
You think Tim Storm's got time for that?
He's like, you know what? I'm out. He's like, I'm out. Well, maybe as a teacher, he doesn't want people to know he's being portrayed as a Nazi. Could that be it?
That probably doesn't help. Yeah.
I mean, a cartoonish Nazi, but
Nazi nonetheless. Yeah, you can't.
These days, you don't want to be a Nazi in any form.
I don't think you can get away with any form of being a Nazi these days. So yeah, I could see there's some apprehension for sure. I could definitely see some apprehension for sure.
That's a bad idea, right? So he just tells the kids, hey, no, I'm just still the grandfatherly ex-NWA champion, because no one's going to see anyway, right? Like no one's going to see this NWA content. So he can get away with that.
I kind of want to watch. I kind of have to watch Tim Storm now doing a Baron Von Raschke thing. That's kind of fun. So I think I need to. I don't.
You heard it here first, folks. Rich Craich endorses Nazis. We should have known with that German name of yours. We should have known. Yeah, I don't know. It's just oh wait, I thought this was from This is from.
No, I told you it wasn't from Samhain. You gotta listen. No, nothing is. They filmed a Halloween themed wrestling show on the 26th, and then never
full circle,
and they're airing it after Halloween. This is like when NXT does their spring break-in shows in late May, early June, and it's like spring break. Yeah. People are graduating. What are you talking?
They're all done already.
They all have jobs. Right. They're at internships already. Everybody that was spring breaking is not spring breaking anymore. They're fucking graduated. What are you doing? Why is the show taking place in June?
Yeah. This is not optimal, Rich Craich, the way they're doing this. This is
I would call this suboptimal indeed. Yes.
Remember when New Japan on Axis or HDNet, whatever it's called now, remember they had remember when they were like 6 months behind, and then they finally just decide, you know what, this is fucking stupid, and they just skipped the next 6 months and caught up.
They skipped like a World Tag League 1 year and was just like, fine, we're just going to jump ahead and get right to Wrestle Kingdom. It's fine.
Yeah, or in between runs, maybe when they came back with the next run, it was just like 2 weeks behind or something reasonable, Why don't they just do that? Like, why are they still showing? I guess since it's in the can and it hasn't aired, but why don't they just dump everything they have, like right now? You know what I mean? And then
I don't think anybody would complain if part 4 of NWA 76 on October 22nd just had every one of those matches. You know what I mean? Maybe it's an hour and 30 minutes. You get everything done with NWA 76 and you catch up. You finally mercifully catch up.
Was there any shows after that? I'm sure there was.
That I don't know.
So listen, this is what I'm proposing. They do this on Tuesdays, right?
Correct.
So on November this weekend, what I would do, whatever they got in the can before Samhain, I would upload this weekend. I'd make a big deal out of it. I'd tweet it out. You're getting whatever's left. Big content dump. Everybody check out our fucking X, the Everything app. We're going to give you it all. And then on November 5th, you're caught up and you just start showing Samhain. Isn't that what they should do? Then they're never going to be more than a couple weeks behind.
Right.
So,
well, they should have done that last week. They should have done that last week and started this week with Samhain.
Exactly. That's right. But it doesn't appear they're going to do that. Now, was there anything after NWA? I can't imagine a topic that less people care about, by the way. But
well, we're doing this on a Wednesday because of Halloween tomorrow, and AEW Dynamite is still airing live, and now you're seeing what happens when we do this show while Dynamite's live and no one's listening, is we talk about the NWA. So
there's like 8 people in the chat. It's pretty embarrassing.
Was
sad. There ever World Series Dynamite?
World Series. Yeah, right. NXT can't even get people to watch their show, and we're going to do a live wrestling podcast on a Wednesday night, head-to-head with the World Series between 2 legacy franchises and Dynamite. Yeah, it's going to go great.
Yeah. So I forgot what I was going to... Now I forgot what I was going to
How many other NWA shows have aired since?
Yeah. What has aired in between 76 and can we get that information?
I can get that information. I got it. There was so after NWA 76, which was August 31st, they had NWA on tour. And I don't know if they filmed this. This was at the Sacred Heart Catholic Academy in New York City. You had Tom Latimer and Brian Idol in your main event. Going 5 minutes in the main event. That's a classic. We always say that how homogenous independent wrestling is. Not the NWA, man. You got a 5-minute main event there with Tom Latimer. In and out, man. He doesn't get paid by the hour. I love it,
Yeah.
All these other guys are bumping up against 25 minutes every single time and all these kickouts. None of that shit at NWA on tour. So you had that. You also had, compounding the issue, is on October 18th, you had NWA Chicago Super Smashing Halloween. Now, I did not go.
Yeah, you were there.
I unfortunately was not there. It was going, to be fair, it was going head-to-head to AAW, so I was at a wrestling show. So they did a Halloween-themed wrestling show.
You would have been.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Highland Park, Illinois. Love going to Highland Park, Illinois. But also ran back Tom Latimer and Brian Idol. What I do like about this, no match time. So somebody was there and had results, but was like, nah, I didn't do match times. You get like, not enough people were there to actually get match times. Like, NWA on tour from the Sacred Heart Catholic Academy or whatever had match times. This, we have results, but no match times. Because somebody was nice enough to be there and say, Steve Boz beat Charlie Adams or whatever. No, I didn't have a stopwatch. I just trust me. Steve Boz beat Charlie Adams, right? And like, no one's good. So they did a Halloween show on October 18th, but apparently I don't think that was filmed, so I don't think that's going to air either.
So that's it.
Or maybe it does.
We had in between.
And then, now we're at Samhain, which has no results, by the way. That show happened on the 26th. If you go to Cage Match right now, no results. You have nothing.
Well, I was going to ask, how are the reviews?
Nothing.
How was the show?
You have no results. Wikipedia,
Nothing?
I'm looking right now, no results.
Okay.
This show may have not happened.
Could have, could not have.
Who
knows?
Who knows?
Like
Who could say?
Yeah, it's like the Paul Heyman Crockett WWN show in 1993. Did it happen in Fort Hood? Did it not happen in Fort Hood? I don't know. Who's to say? I guess we'll find out on November 5th on X, the Everything app.
Yeah.
I want to get into the mind of the person who goes to St. Thomas Aquinas to watch NWA on tour and is sitting there with a stopwatch like Green Lantern fan. I need to get in. Maybe it was Green Lantern.
It could have been Green Lantern. Yeah, it could have. He's in New York, right? Was he New York?
New York area, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, is he still married to that broad he proposed to at Monday Night Raw?
I didn't know Green Lantern fan proposed on Monday Night Raw. Good for
what?
him. No, is that
live on Monday Night Raw? Green Lantern fan proposed to a woman.
Wow, I didn't know that.
With Rob Bartlett and Vince McMahon going, ha ha ha, anything could happen.
That was Green Lantern fan?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Come on.
I know the segment. I did not know that was Green Lantern fan.
That's Green Lantern fan.
Oh, no way. They're still together, right? No way.
That's Green Lantern fan.
I never knew that was Green Lantern fan. Oh, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, that's fucking Green Lantern fan. Of course it is.
Macho Man with his fingers clenched going, "Ooh, yeah, she said yes." You know, all that.
Oh, my God. Right. Bobby Heenan just burying him 6 feet under.
Yeah, whoever. Yeah, I don't know.
It was Bobby Heenan. Yeah. Oh, you do not want Bobby. They set Bobby out there exactly for that. Yeah.
No Rob Bartlett.
No Bartlett. I think Bartlett was already gone by this point.
Yeah.
I
Man,
never knew that was
him
Green Lantern
right
fan, but it very obviously it is. Yeah, of course that's Green Lantern fan. Wow. Incredible lore. Yeah, probably not, right? A marriage that begins on Monday Night Raw from, the Manhattan Center is probably not a marriage that lasts very long. Also, it's Green Lantern fan. Probably can't be married to Green Lantern fan.
I'm wondering. Maybe they have like 19 kids in their, white picket fence. Well, I was just asking.
Do we know the whereabouts of Green Lantern fan?
Didn't he get arrested a couple years ago?
No.
I regret to inform you, Rich.
Oh,
That's
man.
Green Lantern. No, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I thought I remembered him getting arrested or something. I don't know. He might be a listener. That's like a high probability, actually. If he's not in the clink.
I like how there's only two scenarios.
You're either in prison or you're listening to the show.
Right. There's only two possible scenarios for Green Lantern fan. He's either sitting here right now with, Dynamite on mute and the World Series not on the TV, listening to us, or he's in the clink. Yeah, there's only two options.
He could be Shining Wizard in the chat right now, or he's in the clink.
Shining Wizard and Green Lantern fan share a lot of similarities, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I know. It's why I said it.
Yeah. This person says apparently he got arrested at a WrestleMania. Anybody know about that? Now, this is just like the Game Facts message board, so we should probably not go with that. So
Game Facts source, Game Facts message board.
What did that one guy? Wasn't it sources or sources? What did he say? The one dude who got the Fast Nationals or whatever, and he said source like
he said credit sources.
That's right, credit sources, right?
The Fast National credit sources.
Credit sources.
Game Facts message board.
I mean, why would they lie? I mean, there's no reason for let's see this bloke's. Why would Ironborn Corpse lie? He wouldn't lie to me.
Yeah,
he's not Joker Da Silva. Joker Da Silva would lie to you, but Ironborn Corpse would.
I was gonna go right to Joker Da Silva. How are you in my head? I had a Joker Da Silva.
We've done this too long.
Joker Da Silva. You see that guy came in the Discord? His name was like Da Silva Joker, and I was like, wait a minute, are you Joker Da Silva? And here's the thing, he disappeared. I think it was Joker Da Silva.
It had to be.
Because then he got spooked and he never came back.
Mm-hmm.
I think he found us.
I think
Joker
he found
Da
us. We found him. Somebody found somebody, and he was like, "Oh fuck, they know. I gotta go." Yeah.
I like this comment in the chat. I used to get my Mortal Kombat fatalities from Game Facts.
Of course.
Board. Listen, very useful. Who among us hasn't used the Game Facts message board to change all 700 names on Fire Pro Wrestling Returns?
Right, that was a huge Fire Pro. That was a huge Fire Pro place. Yeah.
All the guys you couldn't recognize. You're like, oh, okay, that's give me a deep pull from Fire Pro Wrestling Returns. Oh, that's Poison Sawada Julie. Of course. Right, how did I not recognize Poison Sawada Julie? And you're filling it out. Or some of the dorky fucking hybrid fighters. The MMA.
Oh
guys,
yeah.
Some of those you didn't recognize. The guys you're never going to use anyway. I don't know. I heard he got arrested as well, but allegedly, he might be a bunch of fucking bullshit. I don't want to spread, incorrect rumors about Green Lantern fan. I haven't seen him at shows though. He doesn't seem to go to shows.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, at one point he just stopped going to shows, and I'd like to know exactly the reason why. I mean, I think about that about a lot of famous fans. Like, there was always that. Remember the Hulk Hogan guy that would always go everywhere?
I remember the Hulk Hogan guy.
Yeah, he was always everywhere. And then one day, Hulk Hogan guy just said, "Nah, I'm good,"
Well.
Uh-oh. Do you have lore about Hulk Hogan guy?
No, I'm just saying. I don't know if you want to go around cosplaying Hulk Hogan these days. You know?
Well, no, not these days. But that guy stopped many moons ago. Many
before
moons ago.
Gawker?
Yeah.
Way before Gawker?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know, these people lose interest. They move on.
Yeah. Vlad, Vlad
dummies.
was there a while and then he went away. But I think Vlad's back in the ecosystems. Vlad shows up sometimes now.
Back. I think he's back. I think I've seen him around. Yeah.
Bowl Cut Kid. You never see Bowl Cut Kid anymore. I don't know. He gave it up.
See, I wasn't never aware of that person.
Oh, yeah.
I was at one of the WrestleMania weekends, and I was actually hitting on some girl in the lobby. I think it might have been I forget what city it was in. She was like, "Oh yeah, Brock Lesnar fan is here at whatever show we were at."
Brock
I was
Lesnar
like, "Who the fuck
guy,
is that?" I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" She was appalled that I didn't know who that was.
No,
I'm like, I have
not
no
somebody
clue
you
who
want
you're
to be
talking
with.
about.
That it's not somebody you want to be a part of.
She's like, yeah, he wears the Affliction shirts, and I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about.
You don't know Brock Lesnar guy?
Well, now I do because of that conversation.
Really? Okay. That
Because then she's
was
like
the
pulling
enlightening
out her
conversation.
phone, and she got mad. She's like pulling out her phone. She's like, "No, you have to know who this is." She's like, pulling it up and showing me.
A geek. You're trying to get with a geek, man.
She had nice fun bags. I don't know. What do you want from me? I was a single man trying to get some
That's
action.
true. Yeah, that was in the dark days of Lance's day. Not necessarily the dark days.
Hey, I did all right.
Yeah, you did okay. I mean, just different days. Different. They're not dark. They were just different.
Different days.
They were different days. Days.
Swiping right, left, and right over all over the place.
I always tell people about I always tell friends about your strategy. They swipe right on everything and sort it out later.
Yeah, sort them out later.
And they're like, "That's chaos. I can't do that." I'm like, "I don't know. It worked for him. I think so."
Yeah, you just swipe right. You don't even look. You just sit there in front of the TV. You just swipe right until it says there's no more matches found, until it stops offering you. And then, the next morning, you wake up and you see how many matches you have, and then you figure it out.
And you figure it out afterwards. You sort through it after. Yeah,
I'm not going to sit there rubbing my chin, going,
Well, yeah, because I've been with people that do that,
now.
And they're like, "What do you think of her?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Yeah, whatever." They're like, "What about this one?" And I'm like, "Come on, man, just swipe."
Yeah, you're wasting your time. Just swipe everybody and then figure it out later. And it's like. And then you check in the morning and see how many matches you have, and then go through them, and then rub your chin and look at the pictures and say, "Oh, okay,"
Yeah, but I think your strategy is sound. I've never engaged in that strategy because by the time those apps were all there, I was already locked in or whatever. But that makes a lot more sense to me because you don't want to be like, "Oh wow, look at this girl," and then I look at her profile and and I like this and I like this and I like
time.
And then you swipe and then she doesn't, and it's like, well, that's going to be heartbreaking, right? Like, no, just swipe everything
time
and figure it out after.
Swipe everybody. There's no harm in it, right?
Because then if you match, like you're saying, then you could say, "Okay, let me learn a little bit more about this woman. Let's figure this out."
Now you know what your real options are, as opposed to why are you going to sit there and go through and read these dopey profiles and look at the pictures, because it's like the odds are incredibly slim that it's going to be a match anyway. So just swipe everyone and then go through the profiles and the pictures. It's way more efficient. It's the analytic approach to those stupid apps. And the third picture is always really what they look like. That's the other thing.
Interesting. Okay.
Picture number one is the best photograph that human has ever taken. And you probably have one of yourself that you can think of, right? Like that would be your number one. That's the best photograph this human has ever taken. They don't look like that. Okay? They look like that to a reasonable degree. But that's not what's gonna, when you knock on the door to take them out, that's not what's answering. Picture number two is the second best picture that human being has ever taken in their life. Picture three, now you're cooking. Now that's what the person looks like. Picture three and everything after picture three, that's what they look like. So if she's like a 9 or he, I don't know what you're swiping. I don't know who's listening. There's women that listen to this, the gays, whatever. The first picture, if the person's a 9, okay, they're not going to be a 9. By the time you get to picture 3, they might be a 6 or 7, and that they might still be attractive, but that's the real person. Make no mistake.
Life lessons here. These are lessons. This is lessons you would have given 7 years ago on the show, but we're back here giving them today.
I think I've given that exact
You
lesson
may
7 years ago on the show.
I think that's a new one. The swipe everything and deal with it later is, I know that's old advice. I think I don't recall the first 2 photos are shit, go to the third photo thing. But
they're not shit. They're just like, that's not like, picture 3.
You don't want to, the classic line of, you don't want to, judge anybody by their best day or their worst day. That's their best day right there.
That's like the Olympic gymnastics. You got to throw out the best score. You know what I mean? That's the best score. You throw that one out. You throw out the worst score and the best score. Yeah, that's exactly it. That picture number 1. Think about it. If you were on one of those apps today because the nurse was adding a picture, whatever the fuck, the first picture you pick, Rich, is going to be the best photograph you ever took.
You're going to go through a long.
You're
going to go through a long time to get that one out there that really lands. You like it, everybody. Yeah, no, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So that's the way you got to look at these things. Now, I haven't been on them in years either. I was on them right when they started having super likes on Tinder.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit more complicated these days. As I watch people navigate it, it seems to make less and less sense as I watch it.
Well,
because you can blow through like if someone doesn't swipe on you, you could blow through it or something like that, which seems very odd that we've monetized.
I shouldn't do that
to that level.
Look, all I remember about the super likes was never use them. You shouldn't use the super likes because you look thirsty, right? Because what the super like does is whether they match you or not, they can see that you super liked them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Where normally if you like them. Yeah, normally if you swipe right, they don't know unless they match you. And then the thing comes up with the fucking confetti. Oh, it's a match, But if you super like, it goes right to their thing and tells them, oh, this guy super liked you.
This guy's desperate. This guy's spent money to super like. Yeah,
right.
That would be eye rolly for sure.
You would get 3 free ones a day, and then you'd have to pay for them. But then the person has the option, oh, okay, I know that they liked me, so they cut the line, and I know they like me, then I could like them back. But the thing is, from my research, that comes across thirsty, and you can see why.
Yeah.
So,
real simp behavior right out of the gates, which is gonna put you behind the 8 ball pretty quickly. Yeah.
And the other thing that works too is if you just do regular likes, and then the girl matches you. She wonders why you didn't super like her.
A little hard to get.
It's almost kind of, it's negging in a weird way, and they like that, So then they're like, why didn't this guy super like me? And then they're more likely, you know what I mean? Because then they're like, who the fuck is this guy, right?
Yeah, but this guy thinks he's so hot, and he doesn't need to super like me. Oh yeah, look at this motherfucker over here. Yeah,
right. But you don't look desperate, right? So the super like. Very low success. Like when they introduced that feature, I'm like, oh, this is great. I can cut the line. Wait till they get a load of this guy when they see him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It lands in their face. Yeah.
Yeah. They just must not be seeing my profile. So now I'm going to cut the line. They're going to see the best picture I ever took. And let's face it, this is going to be a lie. But it never worked. It never worked, the super like. So I don't know if they still have that. Again, this is we're talking 6-7 years ago at this point. So I have no idea if that's even how it works anymore. I think all the kids have moved on to Bumble and Hinge.
Yeah.
I even think Bumble
is Bumble's probably
passe
old.
now.
Yeah, if we know what they are, they're probably passe.
Right. I know Bumble was the one where it's the woman has to initiate the contact.
Yeah, I think that is still. I'm under the impression that it is still popular, but I'm under the impression that it's still popular because I know people in their mid-30s using that app. So I don't know if it's actually being used by the youths, but I know that people in their mid-30s are still using that one because the woman has to start.
The older crowd enjoys that. Okay.
Yeah, because the woman has to engage the initial thing, and that I think that people are more comfortable with that. I think in 2024 than the other options.
Well, that's a great feature because men are obviously idiots. So it's better. I can see why women
undeniably better. Yeah, having seen after finally beginning to date the nurse, she showed me before she closed her account what her DMs looked like on Match.
Oh yeah.
Match, which is the nice one. Match is the one that was expensive and kind of a little bit more refined. It's not eHarmony, folks, but it's close.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not Plenty of Fish. It's not Plenty of Fish.
Right. But it's close.
Match, you gotta pay, and you have to put effort into the profile, or they won't post it.
Right. So these people have tried obviously to have decent, and These DMs, I was like, oh my God, it was a cesspool. I couldn't believe what was being sent to this woman on a daily basis.
Dude, I still see occasionally TLB will run down here and show me guys slipping into the DMs on like Instagram now. And they know she's married and has children. And she'll be like, look at this guy, and it's like still like to this day, every now and then she'll get a crazy one,
Travis?
So,
is it ever Travis or no? It's never Travis.
Who the fuck is Travis?
Who's the shirtless cowboy?
I didn't give a name for that because I don't even know his name.
I think I called him Travis. I think I called him Travis, but I don't know.
We can refer to him henceforth as Travis if you like. I mean, because it fits.
Right? would you consider that a decent name for a Texan without a shirt?
I think it fits. We should call him Travis or Colby, one or the other.
Oh, Colby works really good.
Travis or Colby.
We'll ask the chat room here. We'll maybe make the chat room wake up a little bit. What should we call? She's also
behind a locked account, which is like
so these are people that presumably she knows,
like, know her.
Yeah, like very much know
absolutely,
her.
They 100%
and are like, hey,
her.
you want the D? It's like,
right?
What?
Exactly. Yeah.
What should we call the shirtless cowboy? Colby or Travis? Let's see. Yeah. We'll put that in the chat room and let that.
They're
fester
both
for a minute.
solid options. But
I guess we have to talk about wrestling at some point. I'm really trying to hold off on having to talk.
We don't have much to talk about, honestly. I mean, I think this is a pretty light week.
It's a light week. It's an early week. It's a short week with us here on a Wednesday. Yeah. We'll do it though. We got to do it anyway. NWA. I'm still stuck in the NWA. New Japan Power Struggle is actually coming up before you know it. The 4th, actually. It's a weird show. It's on the Monday for the New Japan Power Struggle. I actually completely forgot it was coming up. I thought it was week after, but I'm not ready for it to be November yet. It's probably because it's 85 degrees here today, so it's like I'm not ready for it to be November in a couple of days. But yes, New Japan Power Struggle coming up this week. The Super Junior Tag League wrapping up as well. Of course, the finals are going to take place at Power Struggle, so we'll catch you up on what's been going on in the Super Junior Tag League. Kota Ibushi, a very odd situation, a very bizarre situation going on with Kota Ibushi and DDT right now, and there's been a lot of odd situations with Kota Ibushi over the years, and this one just added to the list of many, many ones. We'll get into the story of that. Kenny Omega is returning to New Japan Pro Wrestling at Power Struggle, and we'll talk a little bit about that, of the appearance he's going to make. He's obviously not wrestling, but he'll make an appearance, and he's been teasing that he'd like to wrestle at Wrestle Dynasty if he's healthy again. There's Blood Money show this week. I don't know if you knew that. WWE Crown Jewel 2024, sponsored by Rehab Season. We're going to crown a women's Crown Jewel champion and a WWE Crown Jewel champion. So get ready for that. We'll preview what's coming up there. We got the WWE ID program that launched this week. I wrote a piece at flagshippatreon.com a little bit about it, about what this is, what I think that is basically happening here, to an extent. And there's been some new news that's come since I did that piece, so I want to touch on that a little bit and obviously get your thoughts on the WWE ID program, which we'll kind of get into detail here in a little bit. But unfortunately, while NWA Halloween did not make the airwaves on X the Everything app this week, a Halloween themed show from NXT did this week on the Peacock. NXT Halloween Havoc 2024. Now, if you will recall our conversation last week, I said, Joe, we don't have to do this. We don't have to watch NXT. And you said, no, we got it. If we don't, nobody will. If we don't say this shit sucks, nobody else will. And I want you to remember that I offered many times an exit ramp. We don't have to do this. It's not that important. The listeners wanted it, though. The listeners want the blood. They do. They like when we rip NXT to shreds. So we watched this show. You watched it. I watched it. I hope nobody else watched it. This was in the pantheon of terrible NXT shows, man. This one was pretty high up there. This was awful. I hated NXT Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
Hated
it. I didn't hate it as much as the one from, was it last year that we ripped on it, or the year before?
We've ripped on it pretty much every year, but I think last year's may have been worse.
I thought this was more boring than bad, but I don't want to derail, but do you remember, I just wanted to get frame of reference. Do you remember when we had a little fun with Ryan 33? Do you recall that?
Oh, yeah. Ryback.
Yeah, so when WWE was in town for some show or whatever it was, I saw Ryan 33 was on was on one of the, I forget what app it was, but he's now 42. So that means it was 9 years ago that we last talked about.
Oh, you're right.
Like,
yeah, that'd be a
great
frame of reference for how long ago that conversation was.
Yeah. Because he was Ryan 33. Ryan, the old
Ryback is 40. How old is he?
He's 42. So it was 9 years ago.
Man.
2015 when we used to do
Ryan 33. I still call him Ryan 33 a lot.
Right, me too. I think every time he comes up,
I don't
think
Ryan 33. Call him Ryback. I always call him Ryan 33.
That's when we were doing tons of Tinder Mahal material, as they were calling me in those days. Tinder Mahal.
Dopey little face, Ryback. He was doing that. There was a while where for some reason the algorithm was just sending me a lot of like Ryback things. Where remember when he'd sit in his car and he would just eat like chips. He was just always eating chips in his car. It was really
like 5
weird.
years ago. Yeah,
yeah.
He became like a power eater. He was like all about he's doing like food reviews.
They're kind of food reviews.
Like
they were kind of food reviews.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Halloween Havoc show. Yeah, look, this was not a good show at all. I did the gimmick where I didn't look it up on Cage Match yet because I want to be disgusted as we do the review. Although Cage Match has cleaned things up a bit. So who knows? But I'm gonna pull it up now, live on the air, because to me, even if you're a fan of NXT, I don't see how you could go any higher than like a 5 on this show. It was just boring. There were no good matches on the show. So let's see what they thought of Halloween Havoc. All right, 6.21. You know what? By Cage Match NXT standards, I still think that's a little high.
Little high. But yeah, I mean, it's more in line like that awful show that we destroyed, I think was like a 9 or something, and it was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. That one from a couple of years ago or last year, whatever it was. This show I really thought was just really boring. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to bury it underneath the earth, and I'm sure you've got a ton of material prepared too, but I didn't think it was quite as hokey and quite as bad as the one from last year. It was last year, the one that we really, really hated, right? So there was, we can recap here really quick. I have them all up here, and we can settle it once and for all. So there was an NXT Halloween Havoc 2022. Now that show had, I'm sure we watched it and buried this one, but maybe not to the same extent. Now this one had a Apollo Crews Grayson Waller casket match. It had a this was the Roxanne Perez Cora Jade Weapons Wild.
This is the one.
So I think this is the one
we hated.
Julius Creed defeated Damon Kemp in an ambulance match. Mandy Rose versus Alba Fire, and then Braun Breaker defeated Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough in your main event.
Yeah, that's got to be the one.
Because the Weapons Wild did set you off. Now last year's show.
Here it is. 2 years ago, how NXT's Halloween Havoc broke us forever. I hate everything about this company. That's the YouTube clip you pulled. Yes, so that would be the 2022 show, correct?
Professional operation. I had to mute for a moment to talk to the nurse, and you took that time to do a burp. So
this is an awful show.
This is not going great.
People are gonna love it though. They're gonna love it. So last year's I don't know. Did we rant about last year's too?
So I'm looking at last year's show. I'm sure we did. They did 2 nights. I don't even remember that. We had Roxanne Perez versus Kiana. No, you know what? No. So Weapons Wild broke you. Last year's was way worse though. Way worse because it was 2 nights. And I remember after the first night being like, "Joe, I can't do it." And you're like, "We got to do it. We got to do it." We had everything last year. We had Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, Devil's Playground with Roxanne Perez and Kiana James. So that broke you. See, now the problem, the Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, that made you mad because it was just like, "You are never my friend," as she hits her with a kendo stick or whatever. And then that went on for like 20 minutes. The Devil's Playground match last year was Kiana James and Roxanne Perez fighting on on swing sets and stuff.
On the plastic swing set, the kiddie pool filled with sand.
Yes, exactly. That was that match. And, where I think it ended with like Roxanne Perez hitting Kiana James with like a briefcase filled with concrete or something like that. Some dumb shit like that.
It's some ridiculous. Yeah, you're right. It was a two night 2-week event, I think, on USA. The one from 2 years ago is the classic awful one, though. That's what I'm getting at here. That was the one. Yeah, you ain't ever my friend. And ironically enough, they're best pals.
They're
again.
best friends now. Yeah, let's. Do you want to get right into it now with NXT?
Yeah, we're gonna have to eventually.
Yeah, if we don't start now, we'll never finish. But sorry, I guess that wasn't the first match. We'll start out with tables. Ladders and well, actually, we should start with the intro, which is already off to the races. Where,
as we predicted, see, they have to have an NXT superstar in a Halloween outfit, being spooky, and this year's choice was Priscilla
Gigi Dolan,
Presley or whatever.
Priscilla Presley, no, not Priscilla Kelly. It was Gigi Dolan.
Kelly, yeah. Gigi Dolan was in some kind of garb with her boobies out. You know,
yeah, it's always because if it's always got to be like a hot girl with the boobs out, like
course.
That's classic. It's got to be Shotzi.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
Halloween.
but it's got to be Shotzi in her Hellraiser outfit with her boobs out, or it's got to be Gigi with orange hair and the boobs out or whatever. But yeah, it was her going through like I don't know what would you call it? Like,
was he looking at like a cauldron or a fucking
something like that? She's like, this is the night where devils are made or whatever. It's just like, okay,
tables, ladders, and scares.
You know, all that fucking bullshit.
The one year, I think it was last year, where you had every segment would end, every match would end, and they would go to the back, and it was like Shotzi and Scarlett, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, what a devilish match!" Right? It was just like, what is
hand
this?
gestures, like
right. It's gonna be a ghoulish tables, ladders, and scares match. It was like, oh,
with the exaggerated fake laughing, like, yeah, just terrible. Who's this for? Who is it for, Rich Grade?
I don't know.
Oh my God, Brian Alvarez sitting there in fucking Bothell, Washington, enjoying this. It's happening.
Slapping hands together and being like, all right.
This is a great wrestling right here. I don't understand. Who is it for?
Oh my God. So we started off with tables, ladders, and scares for the North American title. Tony D defending against Oba Femi.
They never went back to Priscilla Kelly. Did she go home? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, because
later
in the night, what's her face came out of the casket.
The one they sent to TNA.
Right. I've got my scary NXT girls mixed up. What the hell was this one's name? This was it's not Jasmine Nix. Was it Jasmine Nix?
No. What the hell's her name?
She faced Wendy Chu, the sleep demon.
No,
Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley, right?
Tatum Paxley.
Yeah,
that's the one.
She emerged from a casket later in the night.
Yeah, she did. And then, oddly enough, she spun the wheel and it landed on casket match. What are the odds?
Unbelievable.
What are the odds?
Unbelievable.
And she's having a casket match I guess
it already happened.
Right?
It already happened, and I'm not sure if it was good or not. I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. So,
well, it's on the DVR. Can't wait to dig in. I can't wait.
Do you DVR NXT?
I DVR every episode of wrestling that my DVR catches. Now, do I watch all of this shit? Absolutely not. But do I look? I gotta have it in case I need to see it. Right?
Yeah. They have. So you can go to the CW app. Will have previous episodes of NXT if you ever do.
Why would I watch on some dusty ass app when I could just DVR it and watch it on my 70-inch TV?
And you won't get why would a bunch of random ads. You won't get a bunch of random ads, including this Walmart ad.
I won't get any buffering issues. I won't get. I don't have to go to the CW app. Like, why would I do that? I can just DVR it, and it's right there in. I was gonna say crystal clear HD. It's the CW, so it's in CW's over the air looking quality, and it's just there waiting for me. Way more convenient. You people can go fuck around with your apps. I have no interest. You with your 19 antennas.
Oh,
you just settle on an antenna.
No, I settled on returning them all, and I'm done. I'm not watching the Bulls. So,
attaboy.
Yeah,
attaboy.
Screw them. Yeah, screw them. Well, they're going to offer an app, and the app's going to be like grossly expensive. So I don't know what everybody's going to do here, but
We'll figure fuck that. Yeah,
screw them. They stink anyway. So
let me ask you a question: if the Bulls were good, would you change cable carriers?
Maybe. If this was like 2011 in the peak Derrick Rose era, maybe. I might switch over.
The hassle, right?
Yeah, it would be worth the hassle. Right. Yeah, because I'm not brand loyal to Xfinity or whatever. So yeah, I'd be like, fuck it, go to DirecTV. I don't care.
Right. because they're bad, it's like not worth the hassle. Because it's going to be a headache to switch. You're going to have to get the first guys to come out and get rid of it. You're going to have to get DirecTV to come out and install it. There's going to be some kind of issue. Yeah, I totally understand. All right, so we had what was this?
Tony D'Angelo and Obafemi in tables, ladders, and scares. And
yes.
Oh my God, we had chairs. I love that they got the barricade spot out as quick as I've ever seen it. These two men went through a barricade. I'm not kidding. 45 seconds into the match, like the bell rang. And Vic Joseph is like, it's tables, ladders, and scares. Anything goes. And Booker T's like, it's going to go down, Vic. It's going down.
Can we talk about Booker T? He doesn't even say words anymore.
No. He just grunts.
He's one step away from Beast Mortos. He just doesn't say he doesn't say words.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's all he says.
He's going down now. He just laughs and makes noises and... There's not many actual words that he speaks at this point. It's bizarre, but
yeah. So the bell rings. The bell rings. We put over that anything goes. These men roll to the outside, and then Obafemi like spears Tony D through the barricade. I'm like, whoa, okay, that was quick. All right, we got to get it. Yeah. I mean, if you're playing bingo, or you're playing Halloween Havoc bingo at home, you're doing well already.
Listen, Tony Tits doesn't get paid by the hour. He's in and out. He's in and out of there. I thought it was good mindless plunder for a while there. I'm like, okay, this isn't like, this doesn't feel like torture, right? I'm just watching a standard issue WWE plunder match. Unfortunately, there's going to be like 4 more on the show, and I wasn't looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But, all right, it's the first one out of the gate, and it's not horrible. But then it just turned to shit. You had the rest of the SNL Italians came down.
The baby faces, who are the baby faces, by the way, who just started coming out and hitting Obafemi with weapons.
Yeah. So you got Tony Gabagool, and you got Lisa Cappuccino, and you got all the SNL fucking Goombas come out there. And it turns into a 4-on-1 match, perfectly legal, Cole, of course. And then they just help Tony Tits win. And then the big spot was Tony Tits putting Obafemi through the ladder on the outside, right? And he goes crashing through the ladder. And what's so bad about this is these fake WWE weapons ladders, which are made of fiberglass, they snap in half, and then the pink fiberglass is like hanging out of the ladder.
They're pink inside,
There's like globs of fucking fiberglass, like you're crawling around your attic looking for your old baseball cards. You know what I mean? It's like it's the magician revealing the secrets, right? I totally understand not using steel or aluminum ladders or whatever ladders are made out of. I think they're made out of aluminum, right? I get it. You don't want guys to get hurt. So you're going to use your fake painted, WWE branded ladders that are made of fiberglass. But then when they break and the fiberglass is leaking out, right?
It looks absurd. Looks absurd.
Yeah, it's like going to a magic show and then they immediately explain the tricks every time. It's like, I'm not here for that. I'm here to suspend disbelief. And when you cut that fucking assistant in half, I want to think that you cut her in half when she's dangling her fucking toes halfway across the stage.
Right, you don't midway through that say, all right, folks, just so you know, it's actually not, I did not actually cut her in half, as you can see from right here, and then they open up the curtain and stuff, and everybody waves and stuff. Yeah, that would be a bad magic show. That would suck.
I don't want that. So that's what the fiberglass hanging out of the fucking ladders does. And they showed 19 replays and slow-mos, and you see the fiberglass go poof, like in the air. It's like, all right, they're going through like cardboard. It totally takes you out of it.
Well, what's weird about that whole it felt like the finish of the match was a disaster, because what happens is like you said, Tony D puts Obafemi through the fiberglass ladder, and you're like, oh, that's it, that's the big spot. But then Obafemi just like 2 minutes later rolls back into the ring and then starts hitting Tony D with offense again, and I'm like, wait, what? And then Tony D lifts him up and puts him through a table and gets the pin. It was just kind of weird. It was like you put him through the ladder. That should be now, I would assume, the beginning of the end of the match. But then Oba comes back in the ring and then starts getting offense on Tony again. I'm like, what the fuck? And then out of nowhere, Tony puts him through with the spine buster. And the problem was the spine buster looked like shit too, because Oba jumped before Tony D was ready. So you have Oba basically jumping in the air and then Tony going, oh yeah, and then throwing him through the table. And then that's how it ended. And then they showed a replay of that.
they had to make it about Lisa Cappuccino. That was the whole point.
Oh, that's right. Because right. Because she came back in, and then Andrea Rizzo or whatever the fuck. Right. Because so Oba got back in, hit the move on Tony D, didn't sell going through the ladder at all. Because okay, who cares? But AEW is the company that doesn't sell. Gets back in the ring, and then you needed. What'd you call her, Lisa Cappuccino, to come in and hit him with whatever she was, a fucking tire iron or something like that.
Well, she's making the concerned faces and biting her nails, and then and in the ring, and then they had to make it about her because again, the baby faces had 19 people out there.
Right,
but are they the baby faces? I don't even understand.
I thought they were, but Shades of Grey. We'll call it Shades of Grey. How about that?
Then they went to the back later, and Tony's like, "Yeah, I didn't expect you guys to come out there. What? You didn't
use guys? I didn't expect you guys to have my back. Yeah,
you guys to come out there. Lisa Cappuccino, Tony Tapagol. I didn't expect you guys to come out there and help. With and it's like this. What? It's perfectly legal, Cole. Of course they were coming out there.
Yeah. No disqualifications and tables, ladders, and scares.
It's all whoever has less friends in this company.
Yeah. Power numbers, for sure.
They're all coming out there, and Tony 2 stacks of dime next, D'Angelo, and all the, they're all out there, and he's like, oh yeah. The other guy was like, yeah, Lisa Cappuccino, he really got him, didn't he, Tony? It's so bad. It's like not even SNL. It's like Mad TV level.
Yeah, you're being really harsh to SNL. It's bad. It's like bottom of the second hour. You know what I mean? Like the Lorne didn't hate this enough to cut it, but he really thinks it fucking sucks. But he feels bad for the writer that's been pitching stuff all season and hasn't gotten anything. So he's like, all right, yeah, you could do Tony Two-Step and Lisa Cappuccino, after the second musical performance, you know what I mean? Which I'm gonna go even lower than Mad TV. It's like Nickelodeon, all that level parody is like what it's like. It's just completely and totally awful. And it has no chance on the main roster. He's like, what he's like? It's like he's like a modern version of Duke the Dumpster Droese. He's just like this cartoonish, like he would fit in that era, right? Like he'd be Duke the Dumpster Drosie's boss because it's waste management. That's what Tony D'Angelo is. He's Duke the Dumpster Drosie's. Like if they would have introduced a heel character that was Duke the Dumpster Drosie's boss, that would be Tony D'Angelo. He'd fit right in like 1996. It's terrible, but it's like. That's what this whole show is, basically. Outside of like Julia, right? Like the whole show is loaded with these characters who are just like cartoon caricatures of real people, right down to Ethan Page, toy collector adult. Like what? Like all of these people are just collector adult. I don't think that's his gimmick. That's
not his gimmick.
I don't think that was his gimmick. I don't think Ethan Page, played by Julian's gimmick, is toy collector. But
I thought that's what he was portraying.
I don't think so. I think you're blending the real and the Julian and the Ethan Page part of Ethan Page, played by Julian.
What's he supposed to be? Guy who never graduated high school? Like he's 45 years old.
I think he's just supposed to be boring wrestler. I think he's supposed to be boring main event wrestler is what his gimmick is.
Jaggiest Jag, whoever jags. Is that what he's supposed to be? I don't know. I think toy collector adult.
Guy who can never get the volume past fucking 6. You know what I mean? Can never get. Can we even get to 7?
To the Devil's Playground match?
Sure.
Can we skip right to
Sure.
How does Ethan Page even make Plunder extremely boring to where you're cycling through your phone, where you're looking for X the Everything app? This guy can't do anything with even a smidge of interesting involved. Nothing. I mean, look, I like how for the Devil's Playground match they repurposed the little mini set from the ambulance match, and they just were like, all right, we're not doing a whole new set for you guys. You can just brawl over by the Ghostbuster ambulance and
use the pumpkins. You can use the pumpkins that we had left over, and we're not giving you guys a swing set. We're not giving you a pool. We're not giving you a slide. You can just use the pumpkins that are by the ambulance from the ambulance match.
Yeah, and then they proceeded to have, even by tropey, overplayed especially NXT plunder match standards, the most boring plunder match you could ever imagine. And then Trick Williams puts like a blood capsule in his mouth, and who's the dopey announcer? Vic Joseph is like in hushed tones. He's like, Booker, I think he might have suffered internal injuries.
He goes, Booker. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? And Booker, I do, Vic. I think
shook it, duck it, quack, quack. Yeah. I think he suffered internal injuries on that and on the same table bump that we saw 19 times previously.
Yeah.
And then he's the blood's coming out of his mouth. And then
it's not even really coming out of his mouth. It's like slow, like his lips are red.
Spitting it out.
Yeah, his lips are red, and he's kind of drooling a little bit of red. Like a little bit. Like he just had a sucker. Like he just had a blow pop is essentially what the amount of red that is coming out of his mouth.
But Rich, he won like 40 seconds later.
Yes. We did. And by the way, we also had like the medical team coming to check on him. Now, by the way, nothing in this match was brutal. Nothing in this match. It was like basic paint by numbers bullshit, going through tables, hitting each other with steel steps, hitting each other with kendo sticks, like every WWE trophy bullshit feud you've ever seen. And then all of a sudden, like, he gets crushed in the steel steps, crushed in the biggest air quotes possible, and he's got this blood capsule in, and then the doctors come and they're like doing all this sort of stuff. And Vic's like, he can't continue. There's no way the doctors are going to let him continue. And then he tells the doctor, no, I'm going to get out there. And it's like, okay. And then he just wins 30 seconds later. It's like,
and then he hit him with Booker. He hit him with the bookend on the stairs and just beat him like immediately.
Bad.
They didn't sell these internal. Vic Joseph's whispering like the guy's going to die. And then he just wins the match like 60 seconds later. I mean, just a complete waste of everybody's time. I don't know. We're done. I can't.
How do you? Well, one second. I won't pick on him one more time. You have to be aware of how boring you are, right?
I don't think he cares. I think this is what he does for a living. I mean, played by Julian says it all. I mean, that's when the mask came off. Okay, he doesn't care. This is what he does for a living. He's making decent money. Cody will probably get him on the main roster at some point, and he'll be making $750,000 a year to just be the most average wrestler that ever lived. He's tall, he has good size, he can promo, and he'll be a mid-carder for as long as he wants to be. I mean, it's clear he has no drive to be good at this.
That's what I mean. Like, how can you come out on this match in the main event here? And he's really done a lot of damage to Trick Williams as well. He's been attached to Trick Williams for a while. And Trick Williams 3, 4, 5 months ago felt like, oh my God, it's like a can't miss guy, a guy that's like ready to go. And we pushed back on that a little bit and said, well, hold on a minute. He's got a little bit of time to kind of, he's still going to need a little bit more of refinement and stuff. People were like, put him on the main roster now. He's ready. And it's like, no, he's not ready yet. But man, he feels cold as fucking ice after having this, many, many months long feud with Ethan Page here. And he's having these just boring ass matches. And you wonder, like, man, don't you have any sort of professional pride at all to go out there and say, hey, look, we're going to go out there and we're in the main event of Halloween Havoc and a Devil's Playground. Let's put some fucking effort into this thing. Let's do some work here. And they just did nothing. They did a spot, they did the classic. Every match now has guy holds a bag and then opens up the bag and it's got some bullshit in it. And it's got Legos or shards of glass or thumbtacks or whatever. These guys had like nuts and bolts. I was like, okay, that's an interesting choice. And then they, slowly did like a body slam on the nuts and bolts, and that was it. And it's like, oh, come on. Like, what are we? If you're gonna do plunder, then do plunder. But if you're gonna do just this, like, you're right. He's gonna make make $250,000 or $750,000.
Yeah, he's gonna make a six-figure salary. Right. Like the thing is, he's had good plunder matches before. Remember the I Quit match with Tony Nese on whatever show that was, one of the ROH shows. Remember the Darby stuff. Now, granted, Darby lets you just do whatever you want.
Darby doing a lot of work there.
You got to be careful with that because Darby will let you do anything to him. And, it's like, so let's set that one aside. But the I Quit match with Tony Nese was a legitimately great plunder match. It's almost like Ethan Page's lane for, his best thing that he does tends to be like these plundery matches. But I mean, I wasn't surprised that he had just a bang average match against Trick Williams when they just had a match. That didn't surprise me at all. This surprised me to some degree. It is NXT and it's goofy. It's like cartoon plunder. We understand that. But just a nothing match. But it's like we're wasting our time. Ethan Page is what he is. Like, this is what he is. Like, we're not. What are we waiting around for? Like,
this is a very good indication. What this was right here was like, okay, if I ever thought that something was going to change or something was going to click or whatever, now I know for certain nothing is going to change. What we knew Ethan Page was, what we've always kind of known him as, is absolutely what he is. And there's no point in even, having this discussion that we're having right now. We never have to have it again.
Complete waste of time.
A complete waste of time. We now know the mask is completely off. And we know what it is going to be. So Trick Williams retains. All right. Great. But we forgot. Should we talk about the post-match?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah,
so,
of course.
Post-match then, Ridge Holland, who earlier in the night won the ambulance match, comes out, and him and Ethan Page look at each other, and they're like,
yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, the breakup angle between Ridge Holland. So they're looking at each other, and then they kind of make eyes, and then Ridge Holland starts attacking Trick Williams. And then Ethan Page is like, I don't know, should I also attack him? And then he says, screw it, I'll attack him too. So they're double-teaming Trick Williams. And then who should come to make the save?
Oh, yeah.
Busted Open Radio's very own Bubba Ray Dudley.
Well, Bully Ray did warn. Are they calling him Bubba? What
They're calling him Bubba. They're calling him Bubba.
Right, so isn't it, I think it's interesting that he's one of the few people whose TNA name stuck better than the WWE name. Because everyone knows him as Bully Ray now.
Yeah.
It's like when you call him Bubba Dudley, it sounds weird.
It sounds like I'm making fun of him or I'm referencing like his past gimmick or whatever. But yeah, they called him Bubba Dudley on this show.
They have to, right? Because Bully Ray is like TNA. Well, they have a good relationship with TNA. Who knows? But
to them in their universe, he's Bubba Ray. They have a certain idea of what that guy is when he's in their universe. Remember when he came back after the TNA run, and you and I talked about the fat suits. We're positive of it. He had a fat suit. I'm sure
I don't
he
care
showed
who
up.
says it wasn't.
No, they're bullshit. They're fucking lying. We know it. We saw it in real time. The guy was skinny, and then a week later, he was fat. Because I'm sure he showed up, and Vince went, God damn, Baba, I want Baba, and put him in the fat suit, right? And then because he absolutely had a fat suit on. The guy was in great shape a week prior, and then he shows up in WWE and he's fat. No, it was a fat suit.
What's funny too is he had glasses on this show, but not the ones with the tape in the middle.
No, just like regular glasses.
But they made him put glasses on.
That's what I'm saying. They have an idea of what Bubba Ray Dudley is in their universe, and it's the glasses wearing fat guy. That's called Bubba.
Now they were stylish glasses, but the point is he had to have glasses on because he's Bubba Dudley. He's not Bully Ray, right? So, because they did the segment earlier in the show. That's why they didn't cut to Priscilla Kelly, because they were cutting to LaGreca and Bully Ray the whole time. Which, by the way, LaGreca taking checks from WWE.
Yeah, we know where that's at now.
I understand no one ever thought he was Walter Cronkite to begin with. I get it. I understand that people are going to go, it's just wrestling. Who cares? But that's why people see it as just wrestling. Who cares? Right? Like, isn't that the point? Like, when you do shit, isn't it a self-fulfilled prophecy, Rich, to some degree? You know what I mean? When I don't know, should I be making a huge deal about the very unserious host of Busted Open, who didn't even get paid to do the show for like the first 10 years, doing something like this? But we should it still should be pointed out. Like Bully Ray's one thing; he's still a wrestler. Whatever, he can take bookings if he wants. Like I think there's a slight difference there, but I don't know. It's just it's bothersome because then when there's an episode of Busted Open this week, and I don't even know how long their show is anymore, how many segments, but if 75% of the segments are WWE segments putting over everything they're doing, and then 25% of the segments are AEW and being highly critical of it, well, it's like you took money from them last week. So it's fair to question that at that point. But again, I'm screaming about the very unserious host of a very unserious show.
But that very unserious host of the very unserious show has a very, very, very large audience.
Huge platform. Unfortunately, maybe the biggest platform. Yes. I don't know how many people listen to that versus how many people listen to 83 Weeks or Cornette or whatever the fuck. But in theory, it's the biggest platform, right? I mean, it's in everybody's fucking car. So it's like, I don't know. It's what are you going to do? We've been screaming about this for years, and it's like there's people who like will disagree. I can't wrap my head around that. But anyway, one of the segments they cut to them, Ridge stepped up to Bully, and Bully was like, "You stepped up to me on the pre-show. You're doing it here again. I'm not going to don't do it again."
You forgot the best part about it. He goes, "Look, kid, you stepped up to me on the pre-show. Now you're doing it here on the PLE." And I'm like, you fucking...
He had to. Well, he was the big PLE defender, remember?
I know. So it's so perfect. He's like... And it seemed like he paused and said PLE just to remember that, just to make sure that you knew, hey, I'm doing the right thing, guys. I'm saying PLE for you. But, yeah.
Well, did you catch the first time they cut to them after the tag match? So...
this is so good. Should we talk about the tag match and then talk about this?
No, hold on. Let's just get this all in with these two clowns, and then we can move on from them.
Because this is great. This is my favorite part of the entire show.
They do the tag match, and then
Zarya, FKA Delta.
The former Delta comes out, and I don't know what her NXT name is, but
It's Zarya. By the way,
but hold on. You're going a bit.
Okay.
But I don't know what her NXT name is, but neither do Bully Ray or Dave LaGreca.
Correct.
Okay? Because they're like putting it over, and LaGreca's like, "Wow, what great action we have here at Halloween Havoc," right? And Bully Ray's like, "Yeah, the action's hot. And could you believe at the end of that match, she came out, Dave. You know who she is."
Right. You know her name. You know her name. You know
her name. You know who she is. And then LaGreca's like, yeah, the whole tone of everything just changed, Bully Ray. He had no clue. Neither one of them.
Neither had any clue.
Had any idea what her fucking name was. Neither guy. And you saw Bully Ray try to pass the buck. He tried to
great. Yeah, Bully was like...
He tried to throw his partner under the bus.
Yeah, I know. I was like, fuck you, dude. Come on, man. Because he's just like, oh, my God. She has totally transformed this women's division. And you know her name, Dave. You know who she is. And I'm like, whoa.
You know who she is, Dave. You know her name. And LaGreca just thinking on his feet. He's like, "Yeah, you're right, Bully. It was a transformative moment." That's what they said. Transformative. It was a transformative moment, Bully. Transformative moment. And they had no fucking
no idea who Zarya was.
They had never seen that person in their life. They don't know her. They don't know that she was. They don't know who Delta is. They think Delta's an airline. They don't know her NXT name. They didn't know shit about this person, and it was patently obvious. But that was Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray. I guess they were the hosts.
They were the hosts of
Halloween Havoc.
NXT Halloween Havoc 2024. I do have to say, one of the funny things that's happened over the last couple of months is in the build up to all caps Delta appearing in NXT is people that I know for a fucking fact have never once heard of or seen a all caps Delta match telling me, "Oh man, Delta's coming to NXT. I can't wait. Oh my God, another big pickup by WWE. They got Delta." And I'm like,
now these people,
I don't know who Delta is.
They don't know who the fuck
I have no earthly idea who Delta is. I have watched, maybe I have. Have I ever watched a Delta match before? Maybe.
No, you have not.
Probably not.
You have not.
We're one of the, how many other podcasts out there watch Australian wrestling?
Cover Australia.
to any extent whatsoever. And even we barely do it anymore. We're 3 years, 4 years past our peak of watching Australian wrestling. Right. No, Julian Weeks, you're not watching Delta. Shut up. Like, what are we saying here? It's like, oh, Delta's coming. Another win for Paul and Sean cooking. And I'm like, you have no idea who Delta is. What are you talking about?
You don't think Fadeaway Media is locked into Australian indies? You don't think that's the case, Rich?
What company does she even work for, to be honest? I have no idea about Delta. Zero.
We were locked into Australia around the pandemic, and I still review matches from time to time behind the paywall, but we haven't talked about Australia on the air in a long time because the scene cooled off. But Kevin Chiat sends us matches, and I watch them, and I review them behind the paywall, because I trust his judgment. If he's like, "Hey, this was good," I believe him. That's why I watch all those Mad Mikey Nichols matches, Rich. So, but yeah, these people have no good. But Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca sure didn't know.
They sure have
that
not
I
been
know
watching
for certain.
MCW
They had no
or
fucking
RCW
idea.
or wherever the hell she's been working. Yeah, they had no clue. That was my favorite part of the entire show. Bully being like, "You know her name, Dave. You know what her name is, Dave." And him going, "You're right, Bully. The whole game has changed here at NXT." And it's like
The whole landscape is changing, Bully Ray. The landscape is changing.
it was so good. And then it's clear because he had like he obviously had something in his ear. Because then Bully said something, and then Dave goes, Zarya. Oh, we got to talk about Zarya. What a moment. You know what I mean?
When they came back?
Yeah, they came back like in that same segment. Obviously, somebody got in his head and said, yeah, Zarya. Her name's Zarya or whatever. Because then for no reason whatsoever, and he goes, yeah, what a night it has been. We've seen this, we've seen that, and we've seen Zarya. And I'm like, it's 2 matches in, man. You don't have to be putting the show over that much. Like, it's, but he just wanted to make sure he got the name in and made sure everybody knew that he was talking about Zarya because she was going to be a big part of the later a part of the show too, so you probably wanted your audience to know who the hell Zarya was or whatever. But there you go.
So this tag match was the best match on the show. I'm watching this match. Okay, so it's Julia and Stephanie Vakir against Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, who are besties now.
Okay.
You were never my friend.
You're right. You were never my friend. I
friends.
am infuriated by this because they come out to the ring. And I'm going to get to what they were wearing and what Vic Joseph said in a second. So they come out to the ring together. Then, as they're waiting for Julia and Stephanie Vakir to get in the ring, they turn around, they high five, and then they hug. And I'm like, God, have we lost the plot with wrestling? Isn't the easy story here? Yeah, we have. Yeah. The answer is yes. Now I'll continue. yes, we have.
Next question.
Yeah, well, now I'll continue with my belabored point that now has been rendered completely moot, but the fact that, yes, we have lost the plot. Wouldn't it just make more sense to have them basically look at each other and say, look, I don't like you. We've had our past. We were once friends and we've broken up, but now we have common enemies. And you know what? I can look past a lot of stuff that we've done for, to get our, whatever you want to do. I don't need them coming out high-fiving in matching gear with hugs. If we just did 2 years ago, you were never my friend. These people can never be friends again. They must, and all that we got was them looking at each other backstage and saying, I like your new attitude. And then the other one going, I kind of like your new attitude. And then that's it. That's our new, they're fine. All water under the bridge. Everything is done. And it's just like, oh my God, come on. Have we lost the plot? The answer is yes.
Did we not beat each other up with rubber covered chains for no reason? Did we not use kendo sticks and WWE branded fiberglass ladders? Did it not mean anything? Now they just like each other's new attitude. It's almost
just,
like that.
Yeah, it's just, come on. You know what I mean? Like, I wish.
Did we not spill blood for nothing, Rich?
Yeah, it's just a little bit like I don't mind the idea of them teaming up. I'm not saying that they never have to team up again, but I'd like a little bit of side-eyeing. I'd like a little bit of these two, how could they possibly ever see eye to eye? How could they possibly ever be friends again? But no, they hug and it's all good. So then we get the match starts, everyone's in the ring. Quote from Vic Joseph. Perez and Jade out here looking like the twins from The Shining, getting ready to face off with the Beautiful Madness and the Dark Angel. Get ready, Booker, because this is what dreams are made of. These four in one ring, live here at Halloween Havoc. The Beautiful Madness and the Dark Angel, get ready, Booker, because this is what dreams are made of.
Dreams are made of, yes. Cora Jade. I don't know. In my dreams, I don't have Roxanne Perez's shitty mat wrestling. I can promise you that. I've never dreamed about Roxanne Perez and her slow, cooperative, disjointed mat wrestling. Other than that, though, I thought the match was pretty good.
It was decent, yeah.
But Roxanne Perez is the shits. I mean, it's not just a meme with me. She's just not good. And she was doing this mat wrestling with Vakir, and it was awful. There's just nothing. There's no like oomph behind it. There's no struggle behind it. It's just, okay, this is where I put my body part now. Okay, this is where I do a back bridge. Okay, this is where I do a crucifix roll up. It's just going through the motions of the shit that you're practicing with your little headgear in the PC. And then Vakir ended the spot with a really nice head scissor spot where she was slamming Perez's face into the mat. But everything after that, because that was like the opening moments of the match, I thought the match was really good. I thought Julia and Vakir, though, totally outclassed these two.
Oh, like, you saw the difference. You saw the difference.
The difference was palpable.
WWE PC developed superstars and then people that are world traveled professional wrestlers. Yeah.
Just people who are good and know what they're doing. And these PC creations that don't know what they're doing. And, it's the difference in watching them work together was like staggering. And I'm not saying the match was bad. It was like a 3.25 star match, and it was easily the best thing on this show. But there was a clear difference in ability, talent, advancement level, all of those things. So, anyway, the Julia and Vakir went over, and then they did the spot where Delta came out the first time. She came out on the fucking ramp, and
well, she was in the was she in the rafters this time? I think she was in the rafters this time and
wherever
staring down.
I thought it was the ramp, but it might have been the rafters. I don't fucking know.
So we have another spooky girl. We have another spooky girl in NXT, by the way, Zarya.
We missed the segment, and I'm going back to it because we can't miss this segment.
What did we miss?
Rich, Brian Pillman Jr. wants to be his own man.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
and
yes.
He wants to be his own man so badly that he can't stop bringing up his father in every single segment that he ever does on this show. You would think if this guy really wants to be his own man, he'd stop bringing up his father, but no. The center of every promo that he ever does is, in fact, Brian Pillman Sr. So it's not a very good plan to want to be your own man and get away from the legacy of your father if you can't stop talking about your fucking father. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Regal comes out. Not William Regal. Did you notice this?
Mm-hmm.
He's Mr. Regal now. Like Mr. McMahon. Without the raping.
I was going to say, hopefully not all of the Mr. McMahon aspects, but yeah.
But they've rebranded him as Mr. Regal. It says it on the chyron on the screen. And did you hear Pillman? Because Regal, for reasons that weren't explained, said, "Oh, yes, young man, young lad, I understand you want to be your own man. I'll corner you, and I'll happily corner you, young lad, and help you become." He's like, oh, thank you, Mr. Regal. So he's Mr. Regal now? This is his name?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? Now we got to call this guy Mr. Regal?
Not me. He doesn't write my checks. So.
Well, Lexus King is calling him Mr. Regal.
Lexus King with his painted on beard and stuff. It's so weird. What is this?
But then later they did announce you see who his opponent was on Tuesday or whenever the fuck it's happening?
No, I don't think I did.
His opponent is Mr. Regal's son.
Oh, Charles Dempsey. Interesting.
So Dempsey, it's for the Heritage Cup, right? That Gulak used to hold, whatever happened there. And that's the match. So
go talk to Beyond Wrestling about that if you'd like, but I'm not interested. Yeah.
So they're using Pillman to do something with Mr. Regal and the son, who they don't acknowledge is the son.
Right, but are they going to acknowledge that he's the son as they put the boots to Lexus King?
Why else would you do this?
Right,
I think they're just using Pillman. Like, Pillman's going to be nothing again. Like, he's going to lose or something, right? Well, this probably happened on Tuesday. We're probably talking about something.
It's true, right? I guess I should look at what happened. On NXT. Believe it or not, neither you nor I were locked in. I was watching the World Series. I was watching the World Series yesterday, so I admit that I did miss it. Charlie Dempsey defeated Lexus King 2 falls to 0. Wow.
I told you. I tell you, they got no respect for Pillman.
No.
Remember when he came in, how excited their goofy fan base was?
So dumb, yeah.
Oh, Tony fumbled.
Fumbled the bag.
Tony fumbled. Oh, he's so good. Oh, they do nothing with him.
He sat in the chair and everyone's like, oh, that's a star.
Oh, the presence. Lexus King cooks. Lexus King cooks. Yeah. Now what? Yeah, now
where
what
are
do you say?
Where are you?
Where are you? Show yourselves.
I don't. The Jade Cargill people. I haven't. None of those people. That
search party. You can't find the Lexus King people with a compass. They're gone, Rich. You can't find them. The tweets are deleted. He cooks.
All right, so I'm watching the finish. I'm watching the finish to young Charles Dempsey versus Lexus King, and
how'd you do that?
on R Squared Circle,
huh?
Dazzling Principle put up the finish.
Right.
NXT spoilers finish Charlie Dempsey versus Lexus King, and what happens is Mr. Regal hands Lexus King brass knuckles, but then pulls him away at the last minute, and then Lexus King gets mad about that, and then Charlie Dempsey German suplexes him and wins.
So Mr. Regal's teaching his son how to be what's Regal's thing? He calls himself a bastard. He doesn't call himself a bastard. He calls himself a what's Regal's gimmick? He calls himself
I forget the word he uses.
Some British shit in the bin.
Tosser,
I don't know.
a tosser.
Yeah.
A helmet. Yeah, something like that, I think.
Yeah. The bell end.
There's so much
you're
better.
bell end, are you? Yeah.
There's so much better. The insults are, God, they're so much better than American insults.
Incredible insults. It's just, incredible insults. Oh, you having a wank, are you? That's just, I wish I could say that without sounding like I'm trying too hard, because they really have much cooler turns of phrase, right? The hell did Regal call himself?
Yeah,
Nasty,
I don't remember. Yeah, whatever.
Fucking
cares.
Okay.
But anyway, the Lexus King's path towards getting out of his father's shadow, not going well at all.
He's constantly referencing his father.
He's starting every promo with, I know I'm Brian Pillman Jr. and my dad's Brian Pillman. Okay. But I want to be my own man and not be Brian Pillman's son, Brian Pillman Jr. Okay.
Got it in the chat. Regal is born naughty.
Born naughty? A scoundrel? Right. What about a scoundrel? Grant Akuma calls him a scoundrel.
Born naughty. That was it. That was what I was trying to
When did he call himself born naughty?
Naughty boy, like Tajiri era, right? Like 2003.
Did he call? I didn't know. Did he call himself born naughty? I don't remember that at all.
Naughty, yeah. I'm a naughty boy, tee but like in a British way. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Naughty. Yeah, because he uses the knucks and.
I see a WWE shop T-shirt that says "Born Naughty?" and there's brass knuckles. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you to remember 2003 WWE storylines.
Yeah, where Tajiri was totally not a caricature.
No, he was just an Asian man that didn't speak English and was goofy and funny and
was a servant, and also a servant
and a servant. To the British guy, to the old British guy. Yep. Yeah. No problems there. To
the British aristocrat. Yes,
right. No weird tones there at all.
Yeah.
Ambulance match.
Was he billed from a Commonwealth nation that they took over at some point? Was that part of the? Right. Wouldn't be surprising.
Built from Aruba or whatever. Yeah, the British Commonwealth.
Aruba? What?
No.
Aruba?
No. Yeah. Carry on.
What is he? SD Jones? Aruba?
Was SD Jones from Aruba?
At one point, I believe so.
Hell yeah.
Was it Trinidad and Tobago? One of them. Because he wore the. I gotta know now.
We gotta know. Yeah.
It was a Caribbean island that he was billed from at one point. But the reality was, I think his day job is he delivered the New York Post out of a truck. So
he wasn't actually. Well, that's not to say he didn't.
No, yeah, he was his birthplace, according to Cage Match, is Antigua and Barbados. So
okay, yeah, there you go. That's a good British island. Antigua was a good island that he could be from.
That's it, yeah, but not Tajiri.
Not Tajiri. No. I was talking about. Oh, I see what you're saying. Tajiri was from there. I got it.
You said Tajiri was from Aruba.
No. Sorry. I was wondering if William Regal was.
Obviously, now look. Obviously, SD Jones lived in the New York, New Jersey area during his wrestling career, but I do believe he was from Antigua. By birth, not Aruba. So apologies to SD Jones, who was also dead and won't ever know that I screwed that up. Do you remember SD Jones' Hall of Fame speech for Tony Atlas?
I do remember that.
Where he just told 19 different versions of Tony Atlas lifting a lot of weight.
Yes.
And he's like...
Very strong man. He's a very strong man.
Oh, he's a very strong man. And he was going to bench press 390 pounds. And I said, Tony, that's a lot of weight. And Tony bench pressed it. And then another time, Tony was going to bench press 420 pounds. And I said, Tony, That's a lot of weight. I don't know, man. But he bench and he
this went on.
that.
Yeah, this went on for at least a good amount of minutes. This went on.
And he seems like a sweet man, and I felt bad for him, and you could tell everybody sitting there felt bad, and they're like, "This is like the worst fucking speech." At least bring
Play
up
the music.
beat,
Play the
do
music.
something. Yeah. Somebody hit the music. It's like Zbyszko telling the stories of how he crawled through Bruno's bushes 19 times over and over. Remember that one too? I was surprised that Zbyszko's was bad because he was always a good talker.
He's a great talker. Yeah, got a good order. Yeah, but he lost the plot there for sure.
I think he just kept. I think with Zbyszko, he kept losing track of where he was in his speech, and he kept going back to crawling through the bushes in Bruno's yard. Because he repeated that like 3 or 4 times, and I think he just forgot where he was going next. I don't know, but anyway, that's SD Jones and Tajiri. Where did we leave off on this stupid fucking
ambulance match? Ridge Holland and Andre Chase. Yeah. So the ambulance, by the way, is like the Ghostbuster. It's like a 1950s station wagon / the Ghostbusters mobile, but it also is an ambulance. But it has modern technology inside of it because it had a gurney inside of it for some reason. So it was like a hydraulic gurney, which led to my favorite part of this entire show, where so they start the match and Ridge Holland walks over to grab the gurney to put Andre Chase on the gurney because he's going to pull him over to the ambulance and close the door. So Ridge Holland grabs the gurney out of the ambulance, and then he hits the little button on the side. And it goes.
Yeah, it raises up. Yeah, raises up, and then
I'm like, what am I watching? It's just Rich Holland sitting there as it goes.
And this gurney, and by the way, this gurney had a big, giant, padded stretcher on it,
right?
And Rich Holland gives like Chase like a power bomb on this big padded stretcher, and Chase sells it. He sells it like Vader power bombed him through the fucking floor. And it's like, dude, it's padded. When you hit it, we heard the air go psst, like come out of the thing. And you're selling this bump into the padded fucking stretcher.
Right. Which is designed to be comfortable. It's designed to be comfortable.
It's designed for injured people to be comfortable. There has never been a good ambulance match.
Never once.
Okay?
Ever.
Never one time has there been a good ambulance match in history. The other problem with this is Ridge Holland, before the match, on NXT or whatever, they played the fucking VTR or whatever the fuck they call him. And he's telling Andre Chase proposed this ambulance match, okay? Because he's got this score to settle. And Ridge Holland is like, are you sure that you want an ambulance match? Because that's going to give me a chance to maim you and tear you apart limb from limb and end you forever. Okay, fine. What's the first thing Ridge Holland did within 60 seconds of this match? He did exactly what we talked about last week. He tried to shove Andre Chase in that ambulance and close the doors before he beat the guy up and just win it in a completely cheap and derivative way. After promising that he was going to maim this man and rip him apart.
Right. He did like a body slam and then said, all right, now's the time. So then he got the gurney.
Oh, yeah, get him in there.
Body slammed him on the gurney and then brought the gurney over to the door and said, I'm going to close this thing and end this once and for all. 1:45 seconds into this match. And then Andre Chase got his leg out so he couldn't close the door.
The spot they always do where he sticks the foot up to block the door from being closed. These matches fucking stink. Okay. Yeah. The original idea, when whoever came up for this godforsaken stip, was probably you're going to beat the man so badly that the paramedics have to come down and take the guy away, right? That was probably the original idea of the first ambulance match, wherever they did it, however they did it. When this company does it, it's just two guys trying to shove each other into an ambulance and shut the door while the other guy sticks his hand up and stops the door from being shut. They're awful. This was terrible. This was the worst match on the show. By a comfortable margin. It was so bad. Rich, we got the kendo sticks. We knew we were going to get the kendo sticks. You got to have the kendo sticks in the WWE plunder matches. And this was just, I don't know, man. My notes say padded gurney, kendo sticks, and then a series of the letter Z. That's all my notes
it was
say.
bad. This is by far the worst match on the entire show. So I looked it up really quickly. Here are your first 3 ambulance matches. You want to tell me what these matches were like? I've never seen these, but I envision, at least I know what one of these matches was like, and I think I envision what the other 2 were probably like. So the first one I was ever able to find is from June 1979. This is from Cage Match, by the way, in Fairmont, West Virginia. Chief Bobby Whitefeather and Chief Don Red Cloud, Wokes aren't going to like that one, defeat Bobby Fulton and Dizzy McShane. So I don't know about that one. I'm not sure if that one was a bloody brawl, but I bet it was.
It sounds like it was.
The second match, I am positive, December 21st, 1985, Capital Sports Promotions in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Carlos Colon and Invader #1 versus the Sheepherders. That was a bloodbath. I'm positive of it.
Get the tape. I want the tape.
Those guys are bleeding buckets in that match. I am positive of it.
All
Carlos, Invader 1, Butch Miller, Luke Williams, buckets of blood.
They all needed the ambulance legit by the time that was over. Okay. What is this cartoon bullshit? Why do they insist on doing these fucking ambulance?
I have no idea. The third one, by the way, was Jerry Lawler and Eddie Gilbert, which I imagine was also probably a bloody bloodbath. And then Vince Russo brought it back for Thunder in the year 2000. Mike Awesome versus Sting, and I'm sure it fucking sucked. I'm positive it fucking sucked.
Yeah, that had to be awful. It was probably a minute.
It was 3 minutes. It was 3 minutes, and I know it sucked. I'm positive it sucked.
Yeah,
because they were doing this thing where that was Mike Awesome's gimmick, is he did ambulance matches. So his first 9 WCW matches were ambulance matches. Awful.
Was that before or after the Fat Chick Thriller?
This was before the Fat Chick Thriller. This is before that 70s guy and the Fat Chick Thriller. Yes.
Do you think he was the Fat Chick Thriller because he picked up a fat chick at the bar after one of the shows?
For sure.
Do you think that's how that's 100%?
What a rib. Yeah.
Do you think Kevin Nash came up with that?
For
that's
sure.
Probably 90%.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
He probably even he was probably talking to a fat woman or something at a bar, and they're like, "Oh, you get a little of this guy over here, Fat Chick Thriller," you know.
Yeah, ECW, fucking garbage wrestler, fucking talking to a fat chick, you know. We'll put him in his place. We'll make sure he never gets over, so we don't make any money in this promotion ever again. We'll make sure that he doesn't get over. We'll show him.
We'll debut this guy that we just poached from ECW, who's getting a lot of buzz and is the big deal in ECW, and we're immediately going to put him on screen with Kevin Nash, who's 5 inches taller than him. Immediately.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, good move.
Brilliant, guys.
Very smart.
He spent the last 2 years power bombing short guys through tables and making it look cool as fuck. Let's put him in the ring immediately with this guy that's 4 inches taller than him. Great.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Kevin Nash had to put him in his place. Right?
Exactly. Right.
He had to put him in his place and ensure that the promotion never made money again. That's what they had to do. And they were successcul.
They achieved their goal. They indeed achieved their goal. Yeah.
Surprisingly, the Fat Chick Thriller, Mike Awesome, didn't become a big star. That gimmick didn't work out from the booking. I love how we're blaming Kevin Nash for this.
That's fine. It's probably true.
It doesn't feel like a Kevin Nash gimmick?
For sure. He's like, hey, Russo, I saw that guy out there at the bar. He's fucking talking to some fat broad, man. Fucking...
Hey, Scott, look at this broad that Awesome's talking to. I mean, these are the kind of broads they must pick up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, the bingo hall. There's a bingo hall broad or something, man. You know what I'm saying? Takes a sip of his red wine. Yeah.
Scott Hall was like, Chico, she got to be $4 bills, Chico. And then Kevin's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Why don't we give him a gimmick? All right, let's give him a gimmick. Let's call him the Fat Chick Thriller, and let's just fucking sink this guy. That's exactly how
100% how it went. Yeah, for sure.
At the Atlanta Marriott, right? That's 100%
for sure. At an airport Marriott or the Atlanta Marriott. Yeah, they're like, fucking. Oh, you got no confidence. Right. Fucking bingo hall guy's got no fucking confidence. That's why he's talking to fat girls. Yeah,
this fucking fat chick over here. Like, what is this guy? Obviously, he can't fucking doesn't have any game. This guy, right? And they're like, Chico, she got to be $3-4 bills, Chico. I don't think Scott Hall used that accent when he spoke.
Right,
but
I don't think he did. I don't think he did. But it works. You know who we're talking about. It's all about knowing who the characters are. But yeah, this is probably how it went down. I would imagine.
I'm gonna blame Kevin Nash.
And then Nash told Russo, and Russo's like, "Bro, I fucking love it, bro.
Yeah,
that is good. That is gold, man. Yeah. The ladies are gonna love it. We have a lot of fat women that watch our shows, and they're gonna think they can get with the guy. It's gonna work, man. It's gonna be great. Poor Mike Awesome. They're just like, pitching him, and he's just like, whatever, man. I don't fucking care.
How did he get the 70s guy gimmick when Disco was there?
Great question. Yeah, they did overlap. Disco Inferno and that 70s guy.
Did they do a program or an angle?
I think they did a program. Now you're making me remember way too much about that era of WCW that I don't really want to, but it does seem like they didn't quite think it out all that much if you have that 70s guy Mike Awesome and Disco Inferno at the same time. So
how was he not Disco Inferno Glenn Gilberti? I mean, the name just goes
it's a great
with
name.
It. Like,
yeah.
what?
I know.
When I found out his name was Glenn Gilberti, I was like, how the fuck did he not use that?
Because he sounds like a guy that would be at a club in the 70s and roofie all the women or whatever. It's like, hey, that's Disco Inferno, Glenn Gilberti over there. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, who's that on the dance floor? It's Glenn Gilberti.
Glenn Gilberti, the Disco Inferno. That's him.
He's got moves. He's got moves for days, and he's out there, dancing. And,
it's not like his name was Ryan Jankowitz. That wouldn't have worked. But Glenn Gilberti
is so perfect. Yeah.
That's perfect for the gimmick. Like, he should have been Disco Inferno Glenn Gilberti. That was a big whiff too.
We should rebook WCW. The Carlos Colon and Vader 1 Sheepherders match is now in the Flagship Superfans. There's a link there.
Beautiful.
From in the Flagship Superfans in the Voice of Wrestling Discord. So voicesofwrestling.com/Discord.
Yeah.
It looks from the thumbnail like every man is bleeding already. So yeah. It's a packed stadium, and one of the sheepherders is on the ground, and he looks like he's bleeding already. So we're off to a good start.
It's already been saved to my watch list. In fact, I might just watch this right now while we're doing this.
Fuck it, yeah. Who gives a shit about all this other stuff?
Later.
Yeah.
That has been saved. So thank you to Key Crusher 99.
That's Shining Wizard. That's Green Lantern fan in our chat room. So
Green Lantern fan coming through in the clutch. So Green Lantern fan coming through in the clutch.
The Shermaner said it's like finding out the Yankee fan interference guy was Austin. How do you pronounce this name? You probably know one of these guys.
Capo Bianco.
Capo Bianco.
Austin Capo
of course
Bianco.
That motherfucker's name was Austin Capo Bianco.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, listen,
I don't know what he sounds like, but I know what he sounds like. I know.
Absolutely.
Right. Is he exactly what I think he is?
I resemble that remark. I don't have that kind of accent, though. I have
That's a different one. Yeah, people think that you do, but it's not. Yeah. There's a big difference.
I like whenever I meet somebody in Texas, they get the general area correct because they're always like, "Oh, are you from?" And then they'll either say New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Philadelphia. Like they're close. They're like the dart is close to the destination. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think I have that accent that you're talking about. That one I don't. I'm not
Austin Capobianco, the accent that he would have. Yeah,
I don't have the Austin Capobianco, Bully Ray, Dave LaGreca version of the Northeastern accent. That I don't have. It's more. I got more of the New Jersey dialect, more than the New Yorker dialect. Staten Island, Long Island, they all get worse as you move along. But Austin Capobianco. Austin, not so much though. Like,
that's a tough. Yeah, Austin's a tough. Yeah, I wish it was like. Yeah,
I don't know how he ended up with Austin. He's got to be Joey Capobianco, right? Like Joey Capobianco.
Yeah,
like but then
Joey's a good one. Yeah.
Then he'd just be a hitman if he was Joey Capobianco. So that might just be a little too over the top. But Austin. I don't know what he must have like an Irish mother or something. But again, I resemble that remark. So, this next segment. All right, so you got to clear the floor for me on this one. This I took personally, like Michael Jordan. So, this is one of the most cursed segments in the history of professional wrestling. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't mean this with no hyperbole, but when the least talented person in all of wrestling, and that's Ava Johnson. Rich, can we agree that she's the least talented person in all of pro wrestling?
The least talented person in all of wrestling. They're in terms of
who is less talented than her.
Yeah, and she's being asked to is say a couple words, and she even makes that like a belabored.
She cannot talk.
We know she can't wrestle.
She has no charisma at all. Negative charisma. She has a terrible look. She's not telegenic. She has no screen presence, no charisma, can't talk, cannot wrestle to the point that they don't let her wrestle anymore. And NXT isn't exactly 1986 Jim Crockett. Okay. It's not like the bar is high. And they won't let her wrestle anymore. She is the least talented person in professional wrestling today. And I challenge anyone to offer an alternative. She's number one. So
I'd like to hear.
Ava
Yeah, I'd
here.
like to hear. Let us know in the comments or anywhere who you think is the least talented pro wrestler in the world right now, or least talented person in wrestling. Because I think you'd be very hard pressed. I think you'd be very hard pressed to find someone.
Dwayne needs to pull her aside at Thanksgiving. The holidays are coming, right? So Dwayne needs to pull her aside at Thanksgiving and say, "Listen, Ava, it might be time to just get a job at the
As he's tapping
Okay,
he's tapping the wrist. Hey, but this doesn't come lightly. The Rock says,
Look,
feel these goosebumps. I don't like having to do this. I don't like having to do this.
Right. I'm The Rock. I would know better than almost anyone. You're not cut out for this. And I think maybe your mother, Danny, has something for you at the agency.
Danny Garcia's got to have something for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can get a job down at the bank or, whatever you went to college for. Maybe you could work HR somewhere. If you want to work with your hands, maybe I could hook you up with a job down at the mill. But this pro wrestling thing is decidedly not for you. I mean, he has to have that talk with her because she's the least talented person in wrestling. Now, this is obviously leading to a greater point, which this is the most cursed statement of all time. It was delivered by the least talented person on a wretched NXT show. NXT is the worst pro wrestling show that's ever been on TV, the worst Major League Pro Wrestling TV show that's ever been on TV. Ava Johnson is the least talented person on that show. She encapsulates everything I hate about NXT. And she delivered the following line on this show. And I quote, I can't even say it.
Yeah, you have to do it. Are you going to try to do it in like her? Because if you're listening to this and you've never watched an Ava Rain segment, it's said in the most marble mouth, low effort.
I'm just going to say the line, and it's a cursed line coming from her with all this context. Quote, I'm so excited to bring NXT to the ECW arena. End quote.
Ugh.
And
you're poor, you and all those people.
Short of ugly breakups, people I love dying, pets passing on, I don't think my heart has ever been broken more than when Ava Johnson said, and I quote, I'm so excited to bring NXT to the ECW arena. End quote. I'm sickened by this. I am sickened by the idea of Fallon Henley and Chase U and that annoying little blonde girl running around making stupid faces. And the rest of the NXT gang, Ava Johnson, the least talented person in pro wrestling, the fiberglass ladders,
Lola Vice, Jada Parker,
Vice, Booker T, Shucky Quack Quack,
Jasmine Nix,
Ridge Holland. You were never my friend. Roxanne Perez, Rich. Roxanne Perez in the ECW arena. Adult toy collector Ethan Page. This is what they're bringing to the ECW arena. I'm devastated. How am I going to handle this? It's sacrilegious.
Yeah, I've been meaning to not bring up NXT 2300. It's got to break your heart. It's got any of those people that used to stand in those long lines on Swanson and Rittner or whatever to get into that building. I mean, it has to be devastating that Lola Vice and Jada Parker will be in a hardcore match that will get ECW chants, Joe. Lola Vice and Jada Parker are going to hit each other with a kendo stick, a WWE kendo stick, with special referee Dawn Marie, and the crowd is going to go EC-Dub, EC-Dub, and Vic Jones is going to say, reminiscent of Extreme Championship Wrestling, which used to call this beautiful 2300 Arena home one time, and Booker T's going to go, oh, and you were there. You were in that building. Some of your favorite wrestling memories ever were in that building.
I was there. They're going to have...
Jada Parker's going to, twerk, and the crowd's going to go, EC-Dub, EC-Dub, and you and those people.
Someone's going to go through a fiberglass ladder, and 800 people who were born 5 years after Barely Legal are going to chant ECW. Can we put a stop to it somehow?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you could do.
Can I make some calls and if this were like I wouldn't be opposed to someone burning down the building before they have this show. It'd be better scenario than letting this show happen. Because you're right, that ECW chant that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna destroy you. It's going to destroy you.
Because there's no show that I'd rather see less in that building than NXT. Like ever.
There's no show that goes against the ethos of what ECW was in that building than NXT.
Yeah. Dude, they're going to have Heyman is going to be there.
Of course.
I mean, they're gonna drag Heyman out there. He's gonna come waddling out there like the fucking penguin, and he's gonna put over NXT in that building. Are they doing this to spite me?
I think so. I think it's a shot at across the bow at you.
I don't think there's anything you could do in wrestling to spite me more directly than this.
Then Ava Raine announcing to Mackenzie Mitchell backstage at NXT Halloween Havoc, I'm really excited to bring NXT to the ECW arena. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then Shawn Michaels. Did you see the Shawn Michaels pre-tape?
No.
He was like, it was during one of the commercials, so you probably were fast forwarding.
I definitely was, yeah.
But he was
I'm a Peacock Poor now, so I get the actual commercials, which is actually fantastic because I miss all these
what
dumb WWE
What are they calling
segments.
it? NXT? They're calling it NXT 2600. What are they calling it?
NXT 2300 because it is now, of course, the 2300 arena. Yeah.
So he's like, it's the pre-tape, and he's leaning over, and he's like, yeah, NXT 2300. And then he like makes that Shawn Michaels smirk, right? And he shakes it, and he goes, if you know, you know. And I'm like, oh,
okay. EC-Dub, EC-Dub, EC-Dub.
If you know, you know. And he's like, emasculating the gum, like chomping the gum.
Yeah, the side of his face, because the side of his mouth opens up as he makes that little smirk or whatever.
If you know, you know.
With his little cowboy hat.
Yeah. Just fucking smack the taste out of his mouth. If you know, you know. It's so fucking gross. It's so gross. I know it's not like the old building. Like, I understand that. It's like, I'm watching this World Series game. Babe Ruth didn't play here. I get it's the physical site. You know what I'm saying? It's been remodeled 19 times. It doesn't smell like piss and meth anymore. I understand that. But it still is painful to my sensibilities that NXT,
that this company,
is not only running that building, but connecting themselves to the legacy.
Uh-huh.
It's like the ghost of Axel Rotten and Hack Myers, and is he even dead? I think he's dead. And JT Smith, who's not dead.
Hack Myers is dead. He died in 2015.
Yeah, he's dead. I saw him wearing it. I've told this story before. He had a T-shirt on. I will never tell. I just can't. I can't. And they're gonna drag Heyman out there.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna have some other surprise. Rob Van Dam will probably come out there.
RVD is going to be there. Dawn Marie obviously is the special guest referee of the. Steve Corino will definitely be there because he works there.
Maybe. Although he's not part of the WWE canon.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's not an
ECW,
WWE. Yeah,
he's not.
It's basically the rise and fall of ECW. Like whoever was featured heavily in that. Francine said she'll be there.
Yeah.
So Francine will be there, and
it starts. Nothing before Heyman counts to them, and nothing after I don't know, 98 counts in their version of it. I don't think you're going to see Danny Doring and Roadkill.
I don't think so. No. It's rough, man. I know.
It's this is not easy, man. It's not easy. I really, really hate this. I really hate it.
Do you want the card?
Just burn the restaurant down.
Yeah.
Just burn it down.
Do you want the card? Do you want the card for what's
the match
going to happen next week on NXT?
Yeah, I guess so.
Bubba Ray Dudley and Trick Williams versus Ethan Page and Ridge Holland.
Yeah, that fucking idiot representing ECW in an actual that fucking idiot who I never liked. You can't call me a poser. I never liked the Dudleys. In the building, I never liked the Dudleys. Well, I like the other Dudleys. I just never liked him.
Yeah. I was never a fan either,
I have no,
to be honest.
I have no beef with Dances with Dudleys. I have no beef with little Snot Dudley. I have no beef with Sign Guy Dudley.
What about Big Dick?
Big Dick? Nope. He's dead too. No problem with Big Dick. Or Dudley. It was always Bubba.
Lola Vice.
Stutter? Or you can't do that to them?
I don't know if he's not Bubba. I don't think he's going to stutter anymore.
He's not going to stutter?
I don't think. Yeah, they don't call him Bubba because when he first came into WWE, they made him Buh. BUH-BUH. Bubba. Yeah, but now he's Bubba.
Stutter in WWE?
Oh,
I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Early. Yeah, not as much as he did in ECW. Not where he would stutter and then Devon would hit him in the back of the head and then he'd finish his sentence. Not quite that bad, but he definitely stuttered.
Right. Yeah. You can't do speech impediment humor.
Nah. I don't think you can do that.
Bueno
that the Wokes are not going to like that one either. Lola Vice versus Jada Parker, hardcore match. Special referee Dawn Marie. I'm so sorry. Don't watch this. Please don't watch this. You can't. Delete it off your DVR. You can't watch Lola Vice and Jada Parker in a WWE hardcore match with special referee Dawn Marie. As Jada slowly goes through a pre-cut black table and the fans chant ECW. You can't watch that. I'll fly to Texas to make sure you don't watch it. I'll do whatever because this is. I'm being serious here. You can't watch that.
I gotta watch it. How can I not watch it?
You don't. It's going to infuriate you. And then the main event. Well, I don't know if it's the main event, but 10-woman tag. You got Julia, Jordan Grace, the most obviously leaving a company person that's ever obviously left a company.
Yeah.
Kalani Jordan, Stephanie Vakir, and Zarya versus Cora Jade, Fatal Influence, and Roxanne Perez. A big old title, tag match here. Classic. All the managers are going to be out there. It's going to be like Survivor Series 88 or whatever.
Do you think they'll hang someone upside down from the crow's nest like JT Smith in The Dark Patriot?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if JC Jane will be brought out to the ring in a crucifix or whatever. I don't know. Or on a cross. I don't think that's going to happen.
No crucifixions.
No. I don't think Kalani Jordan's going to dance atop the 2300 arena. I don't think that's going to happen.
Will Rob Feinstein be at a table selling videotapes?
Actually, maybe. I can't. Maybe. Yeah, I can't.
That's
say
possible.
That's
right?
not
That's
impossible.
possible.
That's not impossible at all.
All right.
Oh, we got the gauntlet match. We didn't talk about the gauntlet match either.
No, we're not done.
Yeah, no.
People think we're done.
No,
we're not
fucking
done.
not done. No, we're not done with NXT Halloween Havoc. No, not by a long shot. So this is a gauntlet match. They spun the wheel and they made the deal, and it was a gauntlet match. And
it was so boring.
It's really bad. Yeah. Here's this thing with these NXT women. They have these matches, and everything is so choreographed. And so even like I think Kalani Jordan's a good talent, and I think there's something there, but she does the Roxanne thing, like you're saying, where the first part of her match is always this like 3-minute, very choreographed I'm grappling thing, where she's going over and doing a drop down, and then I'm doing the arm, and then it ends in like an arm bar, and it's like, oh, what a master of the art she is. So they do that. And the other thing they do is these women, every single one of them, from Grandma JC all the way to Kalani Jordan, every move they do is like 15 feet away from hitting the person. It's like every kick is 5 feet away. You can see it's 5 feet away.
So much light.
Everything is so fucking light. And it's like, God, I just want one person to just connect on a kick. And I'm not saying you have to stiff somebody, but just lay it in a little bit. Make this look like it's supposed to be a simulated sport. Can we have that? Everything that you can't hear anything. There's nothing. The noises that these people, there's no noises because they're not ever hitting each other. They're not ever connecting. They're just doing things. They're just doing moves near one another, and then they're falling at appropriate times. It's disgusting watching it, and it's so bad. Fallon Henley gets the win here, defeating Kalani Jordan to win the North American title, and she wins by doing like some sort of Shining Wizard gimmick that she does or whatever, and she's literally like 5 feet away from Kalani Jordan when she hits it. I mean, not even close, and you could see it on the camera too, and I'm just like, what is this? What the fuck is this? What are we training these people for? Like what's happening here? It's a disaster. So yeah, Fallon Henley's your new NXT North American champion, and I'm sure this will cause a rift in Fatal Influences. Undeniably, JC Jane's going to get jealous, and Jasmine Nix is going to get jealous that Fallon Henley's the champion, and they're not.
Well, she used to be Toxic Attraction 3, now she's Fatal Influence 1. Right. So she kind of moved up the depth
Grandma,
chart. Grandma NXT.
Yeah, it's so funny. She came out second, and like, God bless Vic Joseph, but like, so Kalani Jordan makes quick work of Jasmine Nix with all Y's instead of I's in the name. And then JC Jane's music plays, and Vic Joseph goes, "Oh man, Booker, it's JC Jane." Yeah. Like, of course, there's only 2 other people it could have been. There's a 50% chance. He's like, "Oh man, Booker, look who it is. It's JC Jane." I'm like, it's a 50% chance it was going to be JC Jane. Like, you can't be surprised.
There's people back there, you idiot.
Right. It could have either been Fallon Henley or JC Jane. Don't act so fucking excited about this.
It's the worst show. It's
brutal. It's bad.
Irredeemably bad.
Fucking
and the
garbage.
match just stunk.
Oh,
it was just
boring,
so boring.
Bad, long. Just trash. Get out of here. Go away, NXT. Jesus. I got nothing more. Anything else? What a PLE. What a PLE this was. Yeah. We'll be talking about this PLE for years to come.
So why is NXT 2300 on Wednesday? What's CW showing, like some NASCAR demolition derby or something?
I don't think they're showing a NASCAR demolition derby. Oh, I didn't realize that 2300. That's going head to head with Dynamite, huh?
Yeah, like, is there dirt track racing on or something? What are they showing?
Yeah, I don't know what they're showing. Maybe election coverage. Are they just laying out for the election? Maybe.
Oh, Tuesday. CW's covering the election?
I don't know. I don't know why the NXT's on Wednesday this week.
Who's analyzing? Like the cast from Dawson's Creek is going to break it down? Like, what are they doing?
Arrow, Katie Holmes and the guy from Arrow are gonna sit in, and Stephen Amell and Joshua Jackson and Katie Holmes are gonna discuss
a bunch of mid-20s women with a short sleeve T-shirt over a long sleeve T-shirt breaking down the
overall
election coverage.
I don't know. Yeah, did they say why it's happening? I don't know.
I don't know what's going on Tuesday on the C-Dub. I don't know. Maybe Samhain is airing. I don't know.
They're showing Samhain. Yeah.
Did they get bumped for Samhain?
They got bumped for Samhain. Yeah, they felt bad for @Billy, and they said, you know what? We'll show your Samhain thing. We'll give you, I don't know, Tuesday on November 6th or November 5th. How does that sound for you? Knowing they're not going to get destroyed in the ratings. Yeah, I assume they're just avoiding the election, but I would like to think that Katie Holmes in overalls with the t-shirt underneath it is going to sit down at the table and
the classic long sleeve t-shirt with the short sleeve t-shirt over the long sleeve t-shirt.
She'll be at the board. She'll be at the board looking at the Ohio counties and be like, "Yeah, I don't know, man."
with the sleeves of the long sleeve t-shirt over the first knuckle of her hand, like pointing at the states that are turning. Yes, that's the look.
Right. As she's at the board, zooming in on random precincts. We're still waiting for reporting from from Cleveland, I don't know.
Do they have a lead news anchor on the CW?
I don't know. I think they're just.
Is it Carson Daly? Who is it? I don't. Is it the CW Nightly News with Carson Daly? Who's covering this? What? Are they just gonna sublease coverage from PBS or something? Are they bringing in 10th string analysts that are they bringing in Alan Keyes to break things down? Because
I'm sure Alan Keyes got a better booking than that. Are you kidding?
Is he still around, Alan Keyes? I don't even know.
All right, so I looked it up. They're gonna, I think they're gonna simulcast News Nation's Decision Desk 2024.
Told you they're subleasing something.
Yeah. So we got.
They don't even have their own shit.
Let's see who's on Decision Desk 2024.
Well, that's no fun. It's from another fucking.
Yeah,
news
it's
network.
not. It's not CW. It's not Cole Custer. It'd be great if they grabbed random people from the CW. It's Cole Custer from the Xfinity series. Kalani Jordan, Ava Rain. And then Katie Holmes or whatever to do the. I don't. Does Dawson's Creek still air on the CW? I don't know. They got to show
Rich, Dawson's Creek has been off the air for 20 years.
I'm saying no. Syndication. I'm sure there's a replay of it.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because the one guy, Josh Johnson. No, he's
Joshua Jackson. You're thinking about Joshua Jackson.
Joshua Jackson. He's the sexy boat captain on the fucking show with Don Johnson. He's the sexy doctor on the boat. Don Johnson's the captain. That show that my wife wants to watch and get all horny to. The we just talked about a couple weeks
Dr.
ago.
Odyssey. Dr. Odyssey.
Dr. Odyssey. Yeah. He's not only the doctor on the boat, he's got salt and pepper hair, he's 50 years old.
Oh, look at him. Always, there's always he's always had a certain thing for a certain group of women, and obviously the TLB is one of them. So
she's more into Don Johnson, I guess. For
really?
She's like,
that's getting a little too old. That's getting a little too old. That's a little too old.
She's like, I really love the boat captain on that show. I'm like, it's Don Johnson. She's like, who's he? She doesn't even know who Don Johnson is. I'm like,
God.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what it is? It's the uniform because she likes airline pilots too. She's really into airline
a man in uniform.
Pilots.
Okay.
Yeah, she likes that, but that specific kind of you know what I mean? She's not into soldiers or cops or firemen, but she's into
pilots. Okay.
She's into airline pilots and boat captains.
Not exactly the hottest, no offense to anybody that's listening that's a pilot or a boat captain, but you know what I mean? It's
Who do you think's listening to this show?
I don't know. Someone sailing the high seas, sailing to Aruba or something. Yeah, they're on their way to, I don't know.
How many Rich, how many boat captains do you think are listening to this show?
Probably not much. Probably not much, but there's probably a pilot or two. I bet there's a pilot or two.
Tuning in?
There's a pilot or two that listens to this show. I'm positive of it.
You think the dad from the Hogan family is listening to this show? There's no pilots listening to this show. What's wrong with you?
Pilots.
Yeah.
But they're not they're not known as the traditionally attractive,
That's the uniform.
All right, yeah, I guess.
You think the Somali pirate, I am the captain now, you think he's listening to this show? There's no boat captains listening to the show.
I think you might be wrong about that. I bet there's more boat captains than you think. But
listening to I don't think there's one boat captain.
We're gonna hear from a boat captain. You didn't think there was a guy from the Isle of Man, and now we have a lifelong fan and Isle of Man guy. So you know what?
No, we were the number one podcast in the Isle of Man.
That's true. So we knew that we were the number one in Isle of Man. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the amount of boat. Would you agree that there's probably a pilot that listens to our show? Not I don't know if he's a commercial airline pilot, but maybe an amateur pilot, right? A guy with a pilot's license listens to the show for sure. Drone doesn't count. I'm not counting a drone pilot either, by the way, because someone's going to say, I got a drone pilot. No, I'm not talking about drone pilots.
I'm sure actual. You know what?
Cessna. I want a Cessna pilot. I
think there's a lot of drone pilots.
Yes, we probably do well in the drone pilot range, but I don't know how many Cessna, drivers or whatever, flyers, whatever you would call it. Listen, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh.
Anyway, that's NXT Halloween Havoc. Hope it lived up to all that everybody wanted it to be. All right.
Who's the lady who ran for president who pretended she was Native American?
That was Elizabeth Warren. That was Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you can get her. What's she up to?
I don't know what Elizabeth Warren's up to. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out who's at Decision Desk.
I just told you, listen, it's Carson Daly with Alan Keyes and Elizabeth Warren and the cast of One Tree Hill. That's who's at the Decision Desk.
Chad Michael Murray. We're going to Chad and see what his thoughts are. It's Alan Keyes and Chad Michael Murray.
Right.
That'd be great.
You know what? I just talked myself into watching that if that was a real thing.
It sounds awesome. Yeah. Like giving the floor to Chad Michael Murray so he can give his thoughts about.
Yeah.
I cannot find out who's at Decision Desk 2024. So if you're going to be locked into the CW, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the. It seems to be just an assortment of random white guys. I don't know who any of these dudes are. The one of them is the displaced Cuomo, the one that was on CNN, and I forgot what he did, but he's gone.
All he did was be Italian, and I think that he was treated very unfairly.
I think it was more than that, but it wasn't.
He's not horny. He's just Italian. He really, that. Was
that's
his defense,
right.
Remember?
Yeah, he was.
His defense was, "I'm not horny. I'm just Italian."
Right, which you can attest to, right?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what he's saying there. Who was the guy? Maybe you can get this guy as the political expert. Who was the guy who was winning the Democratic primary?
Howard Dean is who
We're going to take Iowa. We're going to take Illinois. Then we're going to New Hampshire. Then we're going to Oklahoma.
And it sunk the fucking campaign.
It is amazing that in this country, not that long ago, in our lifetimes, and in everybody listening to this, probably everyone that's listening to this lifetime, a man went, and that was enough he was done. It was like, well, this man is clearly unfit to run this country. Yeah. That's all it took. Not that long ago. That's all it took.
States was too much. Like, this guy's unhinged. He screamed the name of states.
Right.
We can't have this.
He went, after he said a bunch of states, this guy is unfit for office. That was
with his
in our lifetime.
Rolled up.
Sleeves
rolled up. And he was sweaty.
Because he wanted to be, he was a man of the people. You know what I mean? That's so you roll the sleeves up to let people know I'm a normal man, just like you know.
And he was up like 6 points nationally.
Yeah.
And he's screaming the names of states. And people said, nope, we draw the line, sir, at screaming the name of states. And now just gesture. We don't have to say anymore.
Right.
Just gesture at what we've got going on now. This guy simply screamed the name of states, and we put our foots down as a nation and said, we cannot have this.
Nay. This man.
No, sir. You're out. This is a dignified country.
Nathan.
Dignified candidates.
Nathan saying Howard Dean replacing Samantha Irvin. He could. He's got nothing else going, so.
Absolutely. Does he even hold office anymore?
No, hell no. No, he's like done.
Politics.
No, he was done after that. He was done.
He's finished. He's just gone.
And he was winning. He was winning. And it just like...
In the lead. Oh my God. Crazy.
We've come a long way. We've come a long way in 15 years or whatever it was. Yeah.
I don't even vote, but I love the primaries and seeing how long some of these people hold on before they finally give up the ghost. And then, and then remembering Alan Keyes 16 years later after, or people like John Kasich. Remember John Kasich?
Oh, yeah, I remember John Kasich. Yeah. Down ballot. That's where the real fun happens, is down the ballot. Yeah, that's my best.
Yeah, down. Where it's like, how about Carly Fiorina? Remember Carly Fiorina?
I remember Carly Fiorina. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Huckabee.
All these people that it's like the primaries come in and it's like, all right, it's 84% Donald Trump, and then it's like, and then you're like 2% this guy, and you're like, dude, come on, man. And then they hang on. They're like, I don't know, man. I think we can work off this 2%. I think if we just keep you grassroots it, we can get up a little bit. We can move up a little bit. Hey, Howard Dean tanked his whole thing, so we got to stay in this. We got to stay in this as long as we can. So.
How about a little Lincoln Chafee? Action?
Is Lincoln Chafee's got to be before my time.
No, he ran against Hillary and Bernie in like 2016.
Did he really? I do not remember that guy at all.
Yeah, he didn't hang around long. I think Martin O'Malley was the top challenger to those two before.
You're thinking of Mike O'Malley from Nickelodeon and
No, I'm thinking of Martin O'Malley. Okay. Listen, you don't fuck with me when it comes to presidential primary.
You know down ballot primary. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
You're in one of my wheelhouses right now. People don't notice, but I am an expert on these down ballot
failed presidential runs. Yeah.
I love them because they're so delusional all the time, and they don't have a fucking chance, and they hang around, and I like seeing which ones are going to drop out last. I don't know. I just find it fascinating. So that's where the Alan Keyes poll came from.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We
had a big Ross Perot segment a couple weeks ago too. So
how about John Edwards? You remember him?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I remember John Edwards. Yeah.
See, that's not even that deep of one. I'll give you a deep one. Dennis Kucinich.
Oh, I know. That? Oh, of course I know Dennis Kucinich. Come on.
Yeah. So
I don't remember that. Yeah, I don't remember the last guy you're talking about. I'm looking at his picture and I don't remember him at all.
Who? Which one?
No. Who's the name before that?
John Edwards?
No. I got John Edwards. Lincoln Chafee. I know
Lincoln
nothing
Chafee,
about
yeah.
Lincoln Chafee.
2016, right? Lincoln Chafee.
That's what it says. Yeah.
2016 Democratic. He didn't get, but he dropped out very early. I am a fountain of useless knowledge. Let me tell you, I can't remember a lot of this wrestling, like these WrestleMania card, but I can bust out Lincoln
Chafee. Yeah, Lincoln Chafee. Yeah,
I'm into it. I get into that stuff. I'll have the election up on all 4 TVs. I'll pay attention to it on Tuesday.
One of them will be the CW. Hopefully,
college basketball starts Monday.
My God! Wow. All right.
Big week coming up. What else we got? This is not a packed show. Well, we got anything left here?
We got plenty of stuff left here. Let's get into WWE ID. So they launched this brand new program this week. I wrote a big piece about it over at flagshippatreon.com. The press release describes WWE ID as, quote, a first-of-its-kind developmental program designed to provide up-and-coming independent wrestlers with a pathway to a potential career in WWE. And for right now, we know that they have an initial list of independent wrestling schools that are going to be WWE ID affiliated. That is the Reality of Wrestling School, Booker T School out of Houston, Texas. The Nightmare Factory out of Atlanta, Georgia. Obviously, Cody, QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes. I think Glacier's still a part of that academy. Black and Brave Academy in Davenport, Iowa. That is Seth Rollins / Tyler Black. And Merrick Braves Academy. Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center. And this is kind of one that I didn't know a whole lot about. I forget about them, but that's like Scott Reed, and I forget the other guy's name. It's kind of an old school, Northeast one. They're in Concord, New Hampshire. And then Knock X Pro Academy in Los Angeles, which is Black Pearl and Rikishi's school out in California. So those 5 schools are all lined up as initial WWE ID independent wrestling schools. And we now know, thanks to the reporting of Brandon Thurston, that 5 wrestlers are already locked in as WWE ID wrestlers, but we don't know the wrestlers just yet. But
more than that.
Well, is he saying officially more than that?
No, there's some names going around these parts as well.
Okay. So it's more than 5 that have already put some sort of pen to some sort of paper or whatever.
I mean, I'm not reporting anything. I'm just saying there's lots of,
It's not going to be 5. It's going to, in due time, it will be much more than 5. It is not, that is.
Yeah, and I suspect at some point they're going to announce who they are.
Right. So
this has been in the works a while, clearly. And you know how they are. They want everyone to be super secretive. And
yeah, right.
So
that is. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about here. Now, initially, what are your thoughts when you first read this story? Now, like I said, I wrote a big piece over at flagshippatreon.com. You can go and read that as I discuss kind of the history of WWE developmental and developmental territories and all that sort of stuff. But what'd you make of when you first saw the announcement of this WWE ID? What was your kind of initial thoughts of independent development is what the ID stands for, by the way, if you didn't pick up on that.
Clever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're getting their claws into the indies and getting their claws into people very early, and it's competitive. And AEW is very aggressive in signing independent wrestlers, and this will cut them off at the pass with a lot of these people. And I think a lot of indie wrestlers will obviously want to be a part of this because, they all dream when their head hit the pillow of being on TV, and most of those people dream of being with WWE based on when they grew up and when they were born. And there's some people who, who clearly, would prefer to be with AEW, but the vast majority probably want to end up with WWE because they want the WrestleMania moment, and it's it's a big company, the bigger company, and all those things. So it's something that I think most indie wrestlers of any caliber with any potential upside are going to want to be a part of. So it's a smart move from WWE standpoint. It makes me even less interested in American indie wrestling than I was before, and my interest level was lower than it's ever been for me as a fan. I think the American indies are not good. I've been pretty outspoken and vocal about that. I think and of course, every time I do this, people throw name. What about this guy? Well, it doesn't mean that every single indie wrestler. Don't play that. Yeah, don't do that. But I'm just saying, in general, it's the weakest the scene has ever been since I've been following pro wrestling. I can comfortably say that. And I'm this is the least interested. And now I'm even less interested. I am not interested in watching WWE. What do you even want to call them?
IDers, WWE ID affiliated wrestlers, whatever you want to
these
tag them as.
WWE signed wrestlers working the indies. Although I just don't have any interest in that, and it doesn't appeal to me at all. I understand why they're doing it. It's a smart move on their part.
Absolutely.
Tony Khan could have done something like this. He had 5 years to do it, and he didn't. But now it's going to be all that much harder because they're going to get, they've got 5 schools or whatever locked in. The trainees from those schools are obviously going to have an instant pipeline, and they're going to be encouraged by, and all of these schools are run by people affiliated with WWE. I mean, that's no accident.
Of course. Yeah. You got Booker T, Cody,
Seth Rollins, Cody, and
the elite guys are probably the loosest ones because it's like Scott Reed, but all those guys had former they all had experience with WWE at some point, and they're former developmental guys, and then the Rikishi obviously being involved in the other one,
right? So and it's, but the thing is, it's not like a lot of these schools weren't, like Booker T's school has always been a pipeline to WWE, but now it's official, right? And they're all going to be funneled towards WWE, and I think that from their standpoint, they were very much against using indie wrestlers for a long time because they felt like, we got to untrain them and teach them the right way, and they all have bad habits, right? But then I think they've learned over time that bringing in the street free agents just hasn't been that successful for them.
No, that's what this news was. This news, and I think a lot of people are not seeing the forest from the trees on this thing. Like, there's obviously there's an anti-AEW thing going on where you're doing this to make it much harder for AEW to acquire any new talent moving forward, and most of the new talent that's going to come into AEW now is going to be people that have already been on television, whether they're cast-offs from WWE or they're people from New Japan or Rev Pro or whatever. Like that's probably going to be, and that's mostly where a lot of the AEW talent has come from. They've come from other places, or they've come from WWE, and it's not to say that there's not going to be any talent that's still out there. There obviously will be, but like you pointed out, most indie wrestlers, you're now going to be given 2 choices. Obviously they're probably going to sign up a few more schools and more people will be involved in it, and the promotions that use these talents will have to sort of be involved in it. There's going to be a lot that's going to go into it, and you're essentially given now 2 paths. If you're an independent wrestler, you can either work towards becoming a WWE ID wrestler where you have a very clear path to WWE for now, and they're going to call it that, and whether it's going to be that or not, we're going to find out. Or you can just continue to live in the wilderness, and hopefully you get picked up by somebody, or hopefully AEW picks you up, or hopefully they see you, or you can just work, independently in these all over the country or whatever. And you can obviously see why a lot of people would choose the very clear path, whether or not they wanted to. Like you said, there's a lot of people that their head hits the pillow and they dream of being in the WrestleMania main event, but I think a lot of them just want to be on TV. And one path now is kind of saying, hey, we're gonna quick line it. If you follow this path, we're gonna get you to WWE. So obviously a lot of wrestlers, especially in their younger, if you're in just starting on the business, you're going to say, well, shit, I'm going to probably choose that over getting in a car with a bunch of guys and driving 8 hours to a show and doing that for every weekend for 5 years and then hopefully maybe making it. You know what I mean? Like that, I can see the selling point to independent wrestlers. Now we'll get to some of the negatives that can come up, eventually. But what I think the big story about this is WWE is now admitting the Performance Center is a failure, right? Do you come across with the same idea? Because that's why this is happening. And a lot of people saying, well, how, I wrote the piece and I had a few people say, well, why does this mean this is a failure of the Performance Center? They're not doing this if the Performance Center was churning out what they wanted. If the Performance Center was doing what they wanted and developing great pro wrestlers for them to use, they wouldn't be doing this. The reason they're doing this is because the Performance Center is not doing that. And the Performance Center hasn't delivered a nearly enough return on investment. Insert the 7 people that people always bring up or whatever. People are, what about Bianca Belair? And what about, okay, great. I'm glad I'm not saying they haven't had anybody come out of the Performance Center. I'm saying that the millions and millions of dollars and the decade that has been invested in the Performance Center, and you can pretty much bring up 7 different names, and and many of those people were either prodigies or are the sons or daughters of great pro wrestlers as well. It's not been a good return on investment. It just hasn't, and it's not the right way to learn how to be a pro wrestler, and that's pretty obvious. So I see this as a twofold thing. It's anti-competitive in a lot of ways, which most every WWE move is that, because that's kind of what they thrive on. That's what they've done their entire lifespan, and particularly over the last 40 years. But it's also a admission that the Performance Center is not working, and to me, I think there's a ticking clock on the Performance Center in Florida. I think back in August, and you remember this, we talked about it on the show, and I wrote a piece about it, there was the rumor that the PC might be moving to Las Vegas, that there was a meeting, an all-hands-on-deck meeting where they all kind of talked about the Performance Center maybe moving to Las Vegas. Now, news reports came out about that, and then very quickly, news reports came out that, oh, no, that's not what they're doing at all, and that, no, they're just talking about how... But people that were there said that Mark Shapiro said that Vegas is a place where WWE should have a presence. UFC president Dana White mentioned that the UFC Apex facility recently had a $20 million upgrade, and we have big plans in store for new parts of that facility. They're hosting WrestleMania 2025 in Las Vegas. I mean, it all makes sense to house all of the TKO. It does, and we're in a company now that constantly, anytime news comes out about TKO, particularly with WWE and UFC, it's about consolidating. It's about refining the corporate structure, consolidating. Corporate synergy or whatever. What's more corporate synergy than here's a big giant building in Las Vegas. We train UFC, we train we train WWE people. They come in, and this would not be for your classic indie guy, a guy that comes up through the indie system. This is not going to be for your black and brave graduates or whatever. This is going to be for your NIL people. Because as I put out in the piece as well, there is still a value to having a performance center. There's not a value to having the Performance Center in Florida, but there's a value to having something in place, because it's a much harder sell to a D1 college athlete that you're going to go pitch with this WWE NIL thing and say, yeah, you can be a WWE superstar. By the way, here's a one-way bus ticket to Davenport, Iowa. You're going to go train in a former pawn shop with Merrick Brave. You know what I mean? Like, that's a little harder to sell to the people. Now, there's people that understand wrestling and understand the way that you could move up in the wrestling ladder, and those people will be sent to Davenport, Iowa to train with Merrick Brave in a former pawn shop. But you're, former backup linebacker from Clemson that they find is not going to take that bus ticket to Davenport, Iowa, but he might go to Las Vegas to work out in a shiny facility and learn the basics of wrestling. And that's, I think, what we're going to see moving forward. That makes all the sense in the world to me. I have no knowledge of what's going to happen, but that to me feels like what we're doing here is that the PC in Orlando will cease to exist. They'll close that building. They'll move everything to the UFC Apex, and NIL athletes and athletes that they're bringing in will come in to that UFC Apex, work out, learn the basics of wrestling, and when they deem them ready, then they will send them off to Black and Brave or Reality of Wrestling or whatever, and then they can go work maybe in those indies around that area, if they even decide to do that. Some of them, they might just say, yeah, you're ready, whatever. I see it as almost two different things. I don't see them as quite as cohesive as other people see them. I see the NIL athletes and your wrestling people coming up in the wrestling scene. I see those as very different, and maybe WWE is starting to see them as different as well. And that's why this is happening.
I think that I agree with just about everything you said. I think they realize that when they look around, and the Performance Center has been open for over a decade, and the biggest successes to come through the PC or to come through NXT were people that already had wrestling experience. And I think they now are conceding that they understand that getting out and working in front of different crowds and doing the indie grind is the best way to come up, not to be trained in a warehouse with your headgear ring and there's very few off the street, trained from the ground up success stories. There's a couple. Bianca Belair is a great example. Charlotte, but I mean, should we even throw
Ric
out
Flair's
people who are
daughter,
children of? You know what I mean? It's
I know, because
like,
people bring up Braun Breaker and Charlotte as like two of the best examples, and I'm like, well, I mean, it's Rick Steiner's son and Ric Flair's son,
they
daughter.
understood
It's not
the
even,
business. I don't.
Yeah.
It's they grew up in and understand the business, which is why I think going for, people who are indie wrestlers have a higher success rate, because those are people that love wrestling and understand wrestling coming in.
Yeah.
Whereas your track star from NC State and your backup middle linebacker from Clemson, they don't know wrestling. They don't love wrestling. They don't understand wrestling. They don't know the culture they're getting into. The indie wrestlers do. And they have had that dream since they were children, and they understand how the wrestling culture and how wrestling works. And they're also going to work harder, and it's going to be harder for them to give up on making it in wrestling. Whereas these NIL people, if they hit adversity, they're going to go, fuck this. I got a degree. I did this whole wrestling thing doesn't feel. So I feel like that's why the street free agents haven't worked out as well.
Right.
And they objectively haven't. I mean, you can look at the numbers.
They bring in a crop of like 15 people every single year, and how many? I mean, especially in recent history, you never hear about any of them. You never hear about any of them.
90% of these people don't even get a gimmick before they're gone. They're just they half of them don't wrestle on the fucking Largo loop, let alone make TV or anything else. They just disappear. Okay, these people don't make it. Now you again, it's not, there's some people who they've trained from the ground up, and even if you want to include the second and third generation people, fine. Then you can include people like Charlotte if you must. But it's a short list. It's and the place has been open for over a decade. The hit rate's awful. They have not done a good job training people in that building, and they do not get credit for the people who came in and were trained already. Okay, they don't get credit for that, because those sorts of people, there's good odds they were going to make it whether the PC existed or not. So, so I think this is an admission that I think you're right. I think they'll have their facility either in Florida or Las Vegas or both. However that shakes out, it makes more sense to have everything in Vegas, where you can train your off the street recruits. And I think they understand that it's far more sensible to sign people to these ID deals and pay them a stipend or however that's going to work, right? Pay them their 40,000 a year, whatever they're going to pay these people to be WWE ID wrestlers, but stay on the indies, and then have them stay on the indies and get functional, useful experience.
Yep. And be booked by different promoters, work in front of different crowds, work different people, work different rings.
Ways.
Yeah, so many different things you could do.
And it even said, they're not restricting them doing jobs or anything.
Yet.
So it's just
Yet.
leave it. Right. That'll probably come.
That will definitely change.
The idea right now is to leave them out there to work the grind and to learn the right way, and learn the way that has always worked. You know what doesn't work? Herding them into a PC and having them do hip toss.
Right, and a one-size-fits-all thing. A one-size-fits-all, everybody trains the same way, because this is how we create WWE superstars. We fought against it when they first opened the PC, and people told us, no. This is exactly how we said it was going to play out. This is not how you train pro wrestlers. It's never been how you train pro wrestlers, and in the last 10 years, nothing has proven us wrong on that whatsoever. You can bring up your 7 or 8 different people that have come out of that thing. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people have entered the PC.
And washed out.
Yeah, and washed out. And the best examples you can bring up are 6 or 7 people, and half of those people are next of kin of great pro wrestlers.
Shaky cases anyway.
Yeah. Or it's garbage.
You look at the main roster. Where are the homegrown, off the street, trained from the ground up talents? Where are they? Start naming them. You can barely fill up one hand. Okay, it hasn't worked, and this is an acknowledgement that it hasn't worked. And people said, "Oh, well, they'll do their shows in Florida. They'll do the Largo loop." The problem with that is you're working in front of the same crowds, and they're all NXT hardcore fans. Those people that go to those shows, right? So it's like you're not getting the same kind of experience working the Largo Loop shows as you are as these ID people are going to get just working indies, still booking themselves and working the grind and doing different things. And one night in one indie, you're an underdog baby face, and the next night in another indie, you're in a heel stable, and then for another promotion, they might be using you as a champion. You're going to do different things every night.
That's the way to work. That's the way to work and learn.
I used to tell this story all the time, but when I used to go to a lot of indie shows in Texas, there was a wrestler by the name of Mike Dell. Okay, you familiar? You remember Mike Dell?
Of course, yeah.
Not the New Jersey independent wrestler Mike Dell. There's another Mike Dell who worked like what's the gimmick at the beach that saves people from the waves?
Lifeguard.
He did a lifeguard gimmick.
A lifeguard, yeah.
But it's confusing because the Texas Mike Dell used to live in New Jersey too. But I'm talking about the Texas Mike Dell, okay? The guy that appeared in like the Dr. Pepper commercial and all that. But anyway, when I moved here, I would go to a lot of indie shows, and he got booked in everywhere. Okay, so he's a good worker. He's a veteran guy and a really good worker, and everybody booked him. And every promotion I went to, whether it was those Chris Ranquillo NWA Houston shows, whether it was Jax Dane's San Antonio shows, Branded Outlaw Wrestling, whether it was Inspire, whether it was wherever I went, I'd go to 6 or 7 different promotions, and he'd wrestle in all of them, and he was working a different kind of role in every one of those promotions. He was a junior heavyweight champion in San Antonio. He was like this in Austin. He was like booked like this esteemed local legend, like that kind of gimmick. In the NWA, he was part of a shit heel stable. Anywhere you went, he was doing something different, and every night he was doing something different. And that's the kind of experience that young wrestlers need. Every night, you work a full weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you're going to do something different all 3 of those nights. Whereas if you work the Largo Loop, you're working the same cartoon gimmick that they gave you every night against the same opponent in front of the same fucking fans who go to all the shows and are the same fans that go to the fucking Full Sail to watch when you're on TV. And it's not the same as working the indies. And I think this is an admission that they got to start getting these people that they sign to instead of pulling them off the indies, leave them there. So they're getting that same experience. So that crop of guys who are all their biggest stars right now, whether it's Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn, or you go right down the line, right? And they're gonna become hopefully as seasoned as those people were when they came in. And we have to stop this, by the way. And I know it's not our listeners who do it. Stop crediting the Performance Center for people like Finn Balor and Kevin Owens.
Andrade. I saw Andrade and nearly fell out of my chair. I nearly fell out of my chair that Andrade was considered a, as people were saying, the Performance Center didn't work. What about these guys? And it was a list of guys, and 90% of the guys, I was like, what? Andrade? Sabra? What?
There is a difference between being assigned to the Performance Center and being assigned to the NXT brand in those days, okay? They brought these people in and started them in NXT. They didn't need a second in the Performance Center. None of those people, okay? They don't get credit for this. It's preposterous. They're a major league talent when they signed them. But it was Triple H, as an understudy, running a promotion and cutting his teeth and all of that, and he was bringing in top line talent to book because he was trying to prove himself as a booker and a promoter. Okay, I don't have to teach our audience that, but you see that nonsense out there, and it's totally preposterous. But yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's the general idea here. They admit that their method of we're going to tear everybody down and build them back up. We're going to bring people in off the street. It just doesn't work as well as real world wrestling experience out there. And that's what they're doing. And I think you're right. I think they probably are eventually just going to move their operations to Las Vegas because it just makes more sense for TKO to have everything in one centralized
for
location.
Sure. Everybody can watch everything. And hell, you might even get an NIL guy and say, you know what? This UFC thing might be a better thing for you. Why don't we move you over to here? This guy looks like he might be better at the, I think that's probably the long-term play for sure. Now, here's where I bring up that I'm positive WWE is going to fuck this up because of course they are. of course they're going to say, we're not going to restrict you. You can lose. And then they're going to say, well, you can't lose. And of course they're going to say, oh, you can work everywhere. We don't care. And then at some point they're going to say, oh no, you can only work with these guys. And of course, at some point, what we're saying they should do is say, hey, you know what? Hands off. Let AAW book you one way. Let Dreamwave book you the way that they want to. Let Freelance book you. If we're talking about Black and Brave people, those people work all across the Midwest. Go work the Midwest and let them book you however you want, whatever. Get that experience, learn. Do we believe that WWE is going to do that, or do we believe that WWE is going to say, "Oh, you got to be this gimmick because we're trying. We think this gimmick's going to work for you, or whatever." You know what I mean? Like that. That is where I think that ultimately this probably will fail because I don't know if they can help themselves. I don't know if they can help themselves in truly being hands off and truly letting these schools and the promotions do what they've been doing for decades and churning out good talent. I don't know if they can help themselves.
I think that's all going to depend on when we get more details on how much they're paying these people.
Right.
That's number one. If they're paying these people $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, yeah, they're going to want to be more. They're going to want to micromanage it more. If these are going to be those, for lack of a better term, the mark deals that they gave out in Europe, they might be a little more hands off. But then again, they were super micromanaging and hands on.
That's
it started off
right. That's what I bring up. The NXT UK thing. If people didn't follow that whole mess, was we're going to pay you guys, $13,000 a year or some absurdly low number, and you guys can do everything. You can do whatever you want. We just need you whenever we need you. And it was like, all right, great, awesome, sounds good. Yeah. And all these guys saying, oh no, this is good, and I can work this, and I can keep running my company. And then little by little, show by show. Pete Dunne cannot work this show. He has been pulled. No, this guy can't work this show because he's been pulled. This guy can't. And then promoters just stopped booking those guys because they said, you know what, I can't put you on my marquee. I can't put you on my poster. And then 24 hours before the show, I say, oh, you can't be there. So they all just stopped booking them. And they went, oh, okay. And then those guys just didn't get any other bookings besides NXT UK and are sitting there with $13,000 and a downside guarantee, working a couple NXT UK shows for a little bit. I mean, it was a disaster. So that's where my worry comes in, is that can they help themselves?
And it debilitated the scene because they signed up all the stars and then weren't letting them work anywhere.
Ding, ding, ding. And then we get to obviously the big thing here, which is anybody that tells you this is good for the independent wrestling scene is an idiot.
They just don't pay attention to history. They just do not pay attention to history.
Sorry,
and
Ricky Shane Page. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Well, how? Yeah. In what part of history has ever told you that this would be good for anybody but WWE?
Because, no matter what they're saying now, they could change on a whim, and they always do. And we have 5 years ago, we have a blueprint to look at.
Already
they
happened.
Just did it.
They just did this.
It already happened. It just has a fancy name now. Okay. And now they're calling it WWE ID. It's the same shit. Okay. And they locked up wrestling schools instead of affiliating with wrestling promotions like they did in the UK. It's the same thing with a different coat of paint. And it will inevitably end the same way. And I'm not as that wrapped up in that aspect of it because, again, I have no affinity for the current indie scene anyway. I mean, you want to dismantle that, go right ahead, because I just don't think it's good. I don't think that, I don't think that there's a lot of current indie wrestlers that WWE is going to be chomping at the bit to get their claws into. I think this is more for the future. I think this is for trainees that come through these affiliated schools who
they identify,
that they trust, tell them, hey, this is
exactly. This is for 5 to 10 years down the line. This is for some guy who enters the school this summer, the upcoming summer. And Merrick Brave tells Seth Rollins, who tells Triple H, hey, that we got this kid here. He's 19. He looks real good. Yeah. And they sign that guy up and they kind of follow his path as we move forward. Yep. I agree. It's not for the current crop. The current crop of guys that think, oh, man, this is going to be great for me. If they wanted you, they would have signed you, bro. You know what I mean?
They would have signed you by now.
Right.
And that's
you're
not
34.
To say they won't.
You know what I mean? They might, but you're 32. If they wanted to sign you, they probably were going to sign you. It's not for you. And again, some of those guys might get picked up in the mix of it as well. Course. But it's more about, like we're saying, the 19-year-old that enters the school, the guy that they see, the guy who just graduated high school and loves wrestling and wants to get in, and they say, oh, this guy's a prodigy or whatever. That's who it's for. It's about getting the hooks in on those guys, not getting the hooks in.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're not going to sign any of them.
Oh, of course not.
I've heard some names thrown around that you will have heard of. Okay, you would have heard of them, but it's like, I think this is mostly for what we just laid out. Let us know who your who look like some future aces, and those are the ones we want to get our claws into more than anybody else. Anyone who thinks they're going to, sign up half the Game Changer Wrestling roster, that's not. No, they could have had those people by now if they wanted. There's a reason that those people are still out there. Yeah. So maybe the top of the line, but again, I'm more down on the indie scene than even you are, than most people are. I just don't think there's anything out there. There's hardly anything out there that's worth anybody's while, in my view, from what I see. I think this is the most shallow, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Okay, let me be clear. It's from WWE and AEW signing everybody up instantly that has any potential whatsoever. That's the number one reason with a bullet, because nobody that's any good stays on the indie scene very long, because WWE and AEW know that it's competitive and they got to sign them before the other side does. Okay, so that's reason number one. Reason number two is something I've talked about a long time. This is my theory. I just don't think we're in a period right now where pro wrestling is not drawing athletes anymore. They're drawing the art class kids. They're drawing the outcasts. They're drawing the people that smoke under the bleachers during the football game, not the football players. That's what I think independent. You see so much of that in independent wrestling now. It's sort of this. I never have the right words to articulate this point that I'm trying to make. But you go to any even considered high level indie show these days, you're not seeing the dumb jocks. You're not seeing dumb jock wrestlers. You're not seeing guys who their athletic careers couldn't advance past high school or low level college, so they're expressing that through pro wrestling, which is what we were getting for 20 years. When you look at old ROH shows and everything else, it's all a bunch of ex-dumb jocks. That's not what the indies are anymore. Okay, it's drawing a different. They're not drawing the athletes anymore, and I think that's a big reason why the pool is shallow. Because, I don't know, you're getting. How can I articulate this? You're getting, kids that were fans who didn't come up through athletics, and they're. I can never articulate this. I hope people understand what I'm getting at, though. All you gotta do is watch any indie show and see the kind of talent that they're using. It's drastically different. You don't see the roided up ex-athletes that you used to see in 2005 or even as recently as 2010 or 2012. It's a completely different kind of landscape. It's like it's I don't know, but I think that's part of it, and I think that it's anybody who is worth a shit is signed up very quickly.
Right. So, and that's, and I'm a little bit more up on it or I'm a little bit more positive on the indie scene because I have seen a couple of people that I do think are pretty solid. That Black and Brave Academy in particular, I think they're churning out a lot of really good guys and guys that look more like you're saying, like guys that feel like more athletes. Yeah, more of the athlete type than the art school type.
Someone who looks like they could kick your ass.
Right. Oh, there's a lot of those guys. Like, yeah, they have a lot of those guys. So that's why signing them up I thought was a really, really good. I don't know much about obviously the reality of wrestling, they have a mixed bag of alums that have come out of the reality of wrestling. Black and Brave, I like a lot of people that come out of there. And Nightmare Factory, I kind of like a lot of the people who come out of Nightmare Factory too. I think they've done a pretty decent job. But it's it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, anybody telling you this is going to be good for the indie scene is absolutely lying to you. So it won't be good for the indie scene. It'll be good for WWE, like it always is. But we'll see. But and it's also kind of now on AEW to figure out what they're going to do here, because I think the pool of available talent to them is going to drastically change here, and they're going to have to figure out how to adapt to that moving forward. But hopefully they have a plan in place. All right, a couple other topics. Sorry.
If they want to, it's gonna. The longer they go without something to compete with it, the harder it's going to be for them to get anybody that's worth a shit, because again, WWE is going to get their claws in early.
Yeah.
On a lot of these people. So by the time they emerge and make names for themselves or look like they have potential, what AEW is going to run into is, they have an ID deal. They have an ID deal. It's going to, so that's 100% part of WWE's mindset here too.
Of course. It's anti-competitive. Like everything they do is always going to be anti-competitive. You have to look at it through that lens, and then it'll make it a little bit easier to figure out.
Anti-competitive is one way to put it, but it's also just business.
It's just business. Yeah. Being competitive in the marketplace. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with what they're doing from that standpoint. I mean, it's they've identified that the PC is not optimal for what they're trying to achieve, and they've made moves to fix it.
Right. Well, and this is something that if AEW did 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we would have touted as a great idea. And I think it's a great idea for WWE to do it. Yeah. They should have done it.
They had 5 years to do something.
And they had AEW Dark, which I think was the best tool for developmental that they've had in this entire company is just throwing the ball out there, and a bunch of people show up and a bunch of people do these random squash matches. It was good for getting wins and losses, and it was great for testing out talent and figuring out if there's some random diamond in the rough or whatever that you send in, you put it in the ring there, and they would show you in a couple minutes, hey, maybe there's something with this person. Let's bring them back. Let's use them again. And they found some people. They found some people in AEW Dark, and I think without that, it's going to be very hard. I guess Ring of Honor is now your de facto, in a sense, they've kind of taken over for AEW Dark, but I think that was a huge asset that they let go is being able to bring people in there for Dark and figuring out if you get anything out of that.
And they kind of, I mean, they had Matt Seidel's school and Dustin's thing and QT Marshall and Cody when he was there, but they never did anything official like WWE is doing.
Right.
So, that's something that I'm sure Tony's kicking himself now. But, and it's just a part of the overall lack of investment in the infrastructure of that company. This is another example of that, where there's a lot of areas where AEW...
Well, and their connection to the indies, too. I mean, when this company started, there was a very strong connection to the independent scene of of American wrestling, and now there's none. You know what I mean?
And we talk about front office-wise, too, and how they just... It's stunning to me that this is one of the richest families in America, and the stunning lack of infrastructure that they've built in 5 years. That's always been stunning to me. They should have infrastructure just as strong as WWE's with the assets they have, but it's not even close. And this is another example of that. This is something that they could have put some money and muscle behind a long time ago. But now they're behind in the game.
Absolutely. So we only have a couple minutes left to go. You want to crush all these in the next 10 minutes or so? What do you want to do for the rest of the show?
I don't have what do we have left? There's nothing that's going to require a ton of time anyway.
Yeah, let's do that. So we got the Blood Money show coming up this weekend, Rehab season. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for your crown jewel title.
Yeah, they're again doing this new crown jewel title thing, which is just throwing a bone to the fucking whoever Riyadh season people, I guess. And,
I don't know. Yeah, great.
I don't say nothing to get me in trouble, but you'll probably never hear about this title until next year. Then,
yeah, exactly.
It's it's kind of like the weird sumo guy they had in the Greatest Royal Rumble because they wanted Yokozuna and found out, and they didn't want to tell the guys that he was dead. So they went and found some random sumo guy. It's like, that's what this title is. Both of them. Because they're doing a men's and a women's.
Yeah, the guy said, I want titles. And they went, yeah, we'll give you titles. WWE Crown Jewel title. And then they reveal the title. Michael Cole has an aneurysm live on the air, has an orgasm on the air. And then we move on. So Cody Rhodes versus Gunther and Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan. Great. Cool. Love it. WWE United States title triple threat match. LA Knight, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes. Cool. WWE Women's Tag Team title Fatal 4-Way, Bianca and Jade defending the titles against Chelsea and Piper, Damage Control, and Meta 4. So.
Oh, they got called up Meta 4?
Yeah, Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend will be making their way to Rehab for Crown
Is Alicia Fox, did he get called up too? Did Noam Dar get called up?
I don't know if Noam Dar got the call. I don't know if Noam Dar got the call.
Well, it's Meta 4. You can't have two.
I agree, but I don't know if I don't know if Noam Dar, Alicia Fox got brought up. So Roman and the Usos versus the Bloodline. 4th inning, 5th inning. I don't know what inning we're in, man, but we're doing Jimmy saying, hey, man, you got to come back and help Oos, man. And then Jay's going, I don't know, man, if I'm going to help Oos. And it's like, fuck.
We're just repeating ideas now.
We're just repeating
ideas.
Fuck
We're in the bottom of the 18th, and we all just want to go home.
Yeah, this is a never-ending game. There's 8 people left. But I say there's 8 people left, but actually there's more people coming to the arena for some fucking reason. I don't know. I don't understand it. But, yeah, we're doing doing that again. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, and then Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. I'm kind of surprised they did Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed on this show because that was a pretty well built story, and they're just kind of doing it
Big
here
angle,
on Crown Jewel.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how the Saudis get like a full lineup of matches, and when they give a pay-per-view to an American or European audience, they get 4 matches.
Right. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches, and every star is in every, like all the stars are there. All the stars.
Like legitimately, not the meme. There's stars all over the show, and it's a 7-match show, which is a good show. 7 matches is good. I mean, that's the sweet spot, right? It's like normally they give you 4 matches. 5 if they want to throw you a bone. It's so yeah. But Randy Orton's doing the thing now where he's like, Triple H is concerned about him because he's washed up, and he didn't want to book this match with Kevin Owens because Kevin Owens is gonna hurt him because Randy's old and a legend now and all that. So that's kind of what they're doing with
cool
with Randy Orton. That's the story behind that. So that's Crown Jewel, which we will review very enthusiastically next week.
I got breaking news for you, Joe. You ready? Are you sitting down?
Yeah, I love breaking news.
Okay, breaking news from Lucha Blog, our friend Lucha Blog, the Cubs fan.
This is going to be good.
Mystico just announced he's giving up the NWA Historic Middleweight Championship. Says he's beat up.
He must be signing somewhere.
From so many defenses, they'll have a tournament to decide a new champion. Mystico, well, not so fast. Not so fast. Mystico had been champion since 2018. He said he'd be moving up a weight, going for the light heavyweight titles in the near future.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought
no.
TK got the claws in, or Triple H wanted to redo fucking Sin Cara.
Yeah, like, we got the lights, brother. We got the lights, brother. We bring you in again. Listening back, Cubs fan says here, quote, listening back, they really pushed the idea that he had added muscles and wasn't really a middleweight anymore as a point of reasoning. He said he'd rather see new people get a chance in a tournament than continue to defend the title as is. So, of course, Mystico ain't doing the JOB, and he's ready to move on to new things or whatever. So I got too strong. I have too much muscle. I can no longer be the middleweight champion. So I appreciate that. It's a good way to give up a title.
Right.
I'm too strong to still have this title. So I cannot lose it. I will instead put it up in a tournament. So good for him. Some other quick hitter here. New Japan and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is returning to New Japan Pro Wrestling at Power Struggle for an appearance. They said he'll be at EDN Arena Osaka for a special guest appearance. After a reunion at New Japan's offices with Hiroshi Tanahashi created buzz around the wrestling world. What will come of this special appearance? And Omega has said that he, if he's cleared, he wishes to wrestle at Wrestle Dream on January 5th.
All right, so Omega's wrestling at Wrestle Dream.
Exactly. Yes. So, if I get cleared, I would love to. And here's a list of names. He did the thing too, where he's like, so I don't know, I'll take anybody. But then he lists 3 specific people that he'd like to wrestle. So yeah, Kenny Omega is wrestling at Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th.
So this, so I stand firm. I think they're going to do Naito Hiromu at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think they're going to do Zack Sabre Jr., Kenny Omega the next day. How's that sound?
That seems like it would work. Yeah. I think you're probably onto something there for sure.
It's I don't think a Naito Hiromu match is going to be nearly as good as it would have been if they did it a couple years ago. But I don't know what other drawing matches they have right now.
They don't have many.
It's not good. We've talked about it a million times. So unless you're going to do an AEW wrestler in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, I mean, you do Kenny Omega, Zack Sabre Jr. at Wrestle Kingdom with Naito and Hiromu underneath. Because if you have an IWGP title match, it's going to be the main event.
Yeah, I do find it. I find it interesting that he did not say Wrestle Kingdom and he said Wrestle Dynasty.
Yeah, he said Wrestle Dynasty specifically.
Right.
That tells me he's probably wrestling Sabre.
Right. On the night 2 and then night 1 will be a pure New Japan match, whether it be Naito versus Hiromu or whatever. I mean, there's not much out there, so yeah, that makes sense.
I know people think Sabre's going to wrestle Shota Umino. I can't see it.
That would be.
I cannot see it unless the idea is to overpush Umino on purpose as a gimmick to get him heel heat.
As the Dome where you want to be doing that?
But that's risky.
At the Dome.
It's that just doesn't. Shota Umino does not feel like a Wrestle Kingdom. He doesn't feel like a fucking Destruction and Beat.
No, he doesn't feel like a Power Struggle,
let alone a Wrestle Kingdom main eventer. So, anyway, I don't think they have Omega even throw this out there unless they know he's wrestling on that show on the 5th.
I agree.
And it's I could see Tony going with that because where, Omega, where do you even slot him in right now with AEW? There's a lot of stuff right now that needs to play out. The Will Ospreay stuff with Kyle Fletcher just started. The Will Ospreay stuff with, like Takeshita and everything just started. The Moxley stuff at the top of the card, just started. Like, where you can't just plop Kenny Omega into things. And do you Okada, I guess, is available, right, to work with. I guess They could do Omega Okada. That would be the spot for him right now. So, and he'd be the perfect, if you're going to do an AEW opponent against Zack Sabre Jr. at some point on that weekend or that week. I don't know what days of the week Wrestle Kingdom's on, but you get the idea. He's the best fit because it's too soon to bring Will back. Will would do it, but I think it feels too soon. Okada, there might be some heat. I think it's way too soon to do it with Okada. So who do you do it with who's going to have enough cachet with the New Japan fans to fill the place? Danielson's out. He's not an option anymore. Swerve doesn't feel right for that spot.
Kenny's got a draw. Kenny's got that draw ability that in Japan. That if you say Kenny Omega's coming back to main event this show, that'll you're trying to sell out the fucking Tokyo. I mean, I'm saying sell out obviously in quotes. You're not selling out the Tokyo Dome, but you're trying to sell as many tickets as possible to a back-to-back Tokyo Dome night. You can't swerve. You know what I mean? Like it can't be Swerve straight. It's got to be someone that has cachet from Japan.
Yeah, so I think Kenny's perfect for the spot. So that makes things way more interesting for those two shows.
Yeah, oh definitely.
Knowing that Kenny will be in the mix. So I think that'll have a lot of interest, especially if that's his return. So and I don't think AEW, if that's his return
they won't
to
care.
Pro Wrestling,
Nah, they're fine with that.
I don't think AEW, like people might be like, oh, why would AEW allow his return? Because his return to AEW will be just as big either way.
Right. And it's also Kenny Omega. Like you kind of have to let Kenny do Kenny things sometimes, you know what I mean? And this is something that he will like to do. And it's also your show too. You know what I mean? It's also, you're also promoting that show as your,
that's
so,
true. Yeah.
So I see it as one and the same. I see if like, hey, if there's a good opportunity to bring Kenny Omega back, that's a great one for sure. So,
that's true. It is called AEW Wrestle Dynasty. It's, you know what I mean? So
right.
It's like, it is there. It is, he would be returning to their show. So from that standpoint, yeah, it makes sense.
Kota Ibushi and DDT. We don't have a whole lot of time to get into this, so I'll just tell you guys that Dramatic DDT wrote a very good piece about this on their blog, dramaticddt.wordpress.com. Essentially, just a weird thing where Kota Ibushi showed up to a DDT show last week, and a lot of the guys currently in DDT right now are not exactly big fans of Kota Ibushi in a number of different ways, and Kota Ibushi took offense to it, and there was apparently a blow up, and now Kota Ibushi's not on any future DDT shows, it looks like. And they deleted the matches that he was on. On Wrestle Universe, there is no sign that Kota Ibushi was wrestling for them as of last week or whatever, or August. I think it was in August and September or whatever. Those have been scrubbed from Wrestle Universe. So it's a little weird, but we don't have time to go into all the details there, but Dramatic DDT did a very good write-up there called What is Going On with DDT and Kota Ibushi. So you can read that there if you want details about that. But yeah, there's been a lot of weird Kota Ibushi stuff over the last several years. So it shouldn't be a huge surprise. The guy I don't know what's going on with Kota Ibushi, but
he's done.
Everybody kind of treats him with kid gloves still a little bit too. We're still doing like he's a cute little guy that doesn't know what he's doing and stuff. But he's done a lot of very destructive stuff lately. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a grown ass man with agency. I like him, but physically he's shot. And look, he's said a lot of weird things over the last few years. You can't accuse companies of being mixed up with the Yakuza and shit like that in Japan. It just doesn't fly, man. He just. But even more than that, he's just physically, I'd be surprised if he ever regains, the proper physical shape to be an effective pro wrestler again. He did not look good at all in any of his AEW appearances. I mean, he looked completely washed up.
He's looked worse. I watched him in a couple other things too. He looks worse now too. It was he doesn't look as bad as. Well, he had the weird match with Marufuji, which was just a fucking disaster and a joke. Yeah. But then I saw a GLEAT match that he had a couple weeks ago, and it's like, dude, what are we doing, man? This guy just looks like absolute dog shit. So yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but
and it's like I understand he was coming off some injuries, but those injuries were a long time ago now.
Yeah, that foot's been healing. You talked about you used to do that behind the paywall. You know, people would say, "Hey, what's going on with Kota Ibushi?" You're like,
the shoulder.
You're like, his shoulder's been. It's been 2 years now. I think the shoulder's probably okay. I don't think that's
years and years.
I don't think that's why he's not wrestling. The shoulder is probably healed by now. I think there's other reasons.
I mean, he was cleared, and he told them they were cleared, and they booked him for a New Japan Cup, remember? And then they pulled him. He was announced for that New Japan Cup that year. And Rich, that was like 2-3 years ago at this point. You know, so you can't just say, "Oh, he's still recovering from injuries." Come on. Now look, he's in his 40s. He might be someone who just doesn't bounce back from injuries that well anymore. You know, and it's like, but either way, that doesn't disprove our point that the guy just seems physically shot at this point. You know, and that's a shame, but I don't have any confidence that he's going to bounce back at this point and be a fraction of what he was. If he is, great, because I loved watching Kota Ibushi wrestle at his peak. He was, you know, an all-time favorite of mine. The guy was really great. So anyway, just more weird. It's always something weird around.
It's always something weird. Yeah, it's always
can't be. Yeah, it's just some kind of. Yeah, it's just and that just I don't know. And I guess AEW is still technically paying him.
I suppose. Yeah, I don't. That might be. He might enter the no BS Mark Henry worst contract they've ever signed.
Yeah. Territory. That's an underrated one.
Yeah,
that's an awful one.
For my listicle in a couple years, no BS. Paul White, Saraya, Mark Henry, Kota Ibushi. I need to see how much Vicky Guerrero was making, but she's probably up there. And then Mark Henry's probably number one. Right. Well, no BS is probably number one, actually. Then Mark Henry afterwards. All right. Quickly, New Japan Super Junior Tag League. What's going on with the Tag League?
All right. So the only show worth watching is the first Korakuen show on the 27th. Yes, the 27th. Everything else is skippable. The first night of the tour was very dry. I mean, it just, guys didn't really have their working shoes on. They worked hard on the 27th, and I think every match was worth a watch. I wasn't quite as high on the stuff that people were super high on, but I also liked the stuff people didn't like quite as much, more than the consensus. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll quickly go through, and it's the only show I'm going to talk about and tell you what I think of the team so far. So Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru beat Capitan Suicida and Tiger Mask in the opener. Really fun match. I know it's House of Torture, but they jumped Tiger Mask before the bell, and Capitan Suicida did these dives to take out Sho and Nobu. And then he was like egging Tiger Mask to get like, come on, let's go. I know you got jumped, but we got to. It was just, they told a nice little story. It was a nice departure from, because a lot of the matches on this tour feel real samey. It's just, you know what I mean. And this was different. It had a different story and psychology to it. Yes, did the wrenches and the whiskey make an appearance at the end and lead to the finish? Yes, it did. But, it told a nice story of the baby faces making the comeback, and then the House of Torture still succeeding thanks to a ref bump and nefarious means and winning in the end anyway. But Capitan Suicida wrestled in Korakuen like he knew this was a big opportunity for him and he wanted to be there. So his effort levels were very high. Ninja Mac and the DKC defeat the Velocities. Think of these guys. That's the match they went out there and had with the 10 minutes they were given. Okay. Ninja Mac got his shit in. The Velocities got their shit in and looked good. The Velocities got off to a slow start on the tour, but I talk about this all the time, Rich. Joe Rogan used to talk about octagon jitters for guys in their first UFC fight, and how they weren't really themselves the first time out in UFC because it's the big time and they're a little nervous. I think that New Japan jitters are a real thing because we've seen it over and over again with foreigners when they come into New Japan for their first tour, and it takes them a little while to get comfortable, find their footing. What can I do? What can I not do? What's gonna, it's a new environment, and it's a big spot for a team like the Velocities. Just like when Dan Maloney came in. Remember how he got off to a slow start on his first
and
tour.
now he fucking owns every room as that Drilla
Yeah,
Mahoney
now
character.
he's got confidence in it. Exactly. Chase Owens got off to remember all those arm ringers he was doing in his first match because he didn't know what to do. Like he was nervous when he first got his start. You see it over and over with these foreigners sometimes because they've built their whole careers to getting an opportunity like working for New Japan. And but the velocities by this point in the tour are looking much more comfortable, and that was a fun little match. Dragon Daya and Rusuke Taguchi beat Bushi and Hiromu. I didn't really care for this match. I have no use for Taguchi at all. He should just, as far as I'm concerned, retire. He's doing ass spots still and holding his anus. He's just, the guy's a complete waste of
barrel
time.
laughs. I'm sure it's a barrel laughs. Yeah.
They're calling themselves the skateboard bros, which is just so cringe. And, so Bushi took the fall there. And they had Kevin Knight and Kushida over Robbie X and Taiji Ishimori. A spot fest. They went out there in the middle of the show and just this is the match that everyone's having every night on the tour. And it's fine, and it's 3 stars, and it's inoffensive, but you don't have to go watch it, right? That's what this was. Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney over the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles. People are going crazy for this match. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was anything special, but this is the match that people will tell you is the must-see match of the tour so far. I see where people are coming from. I just cannot. I don't know. There's something about the War Dogs where I'm limited to how much I can enjoy them. They have the wrong kind of heat for me. But it was a good match. I know we don't have a lot of time, but we got a lot of pushback. Not a lot, but we got some pushback on our Discord for saying that the announcers were a little over the top last week in the UK and putting over Kosei Fujita. I was surprised. I mean, Rich, I don't see him as anything special.
No, a lot of people seem to think that he's like the real deal,
special.
And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Like special. They think he's like a prodigy type talent. Someone corrected me for saying prodigal in the wrong, and now it's like in my head. You get what I'm saying? Like a prodigy type talent. I've never seen that in Kosei Fujita. I think he's a good wrestler. I like him. I like watching him wrestle. Are we off base here? It made me question like my analysis. Like I have never watched Kosei Fujita and thought, oh my God, that guy's going to be a star. But apparently there's people who think that. So I wanted to pitch that to you. Have you ever watched Kosei Fujita?
I haven't. And that's why I asked you last week. I was like, where are you at with this guy? Because I watch him and I'm always just like, good little roster depth. But I was wondering, am I off base? Because I'm not seeing anything from this guy. So I asked you, and you were like, no. And you were basically the same as I was. And then it was funny to see a lot of other people be like, no, he's the real deal. And I'm like, I don't see that. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never viewed him as this is the future of the division. He's going to carry the juniors in New Japan someday. Now, look, I don't have any doubt they're going to push him. He's going to get a big push someday. I agree with. Do I think he's going to be some like a junior ace that's going to end up being like an all-timer? I have never gotten that impression.
Oh God, no. I don't see that at all.
And maybe we'll be wrong. I don't know. I wouldn't, I'm not going to.
I'd be happy. That'd be great. That'd be great if we were wrong.
This company needs any kind of juice they can get with a lot of, if they've got a real prodigy on their hands who's going to be a big time star, the next Hiromu in the division, right? Like that's, there was Kushida, then Hiromu, and now if he's like next in recent vintage history of, guys who, non-foreigners who, were aces of the division and could be, then that's great. But I'm not nearly as confident as some of the people in our Discord were, but maybe there's something we're not seeing and we're going to be wrong. But anyway, this is the match people will tell you need to see. I can't go that far and tell you it's a must-see match, but it was a really good match. And then the main event was Rocky and Yo against Catch 2-2. Catch 2-2's off to a slow start. They don't have a lot of points, and remember, there's not that many matches. You only get 5 matches in this thing. And I thought this was the best match in the show. I thought this was a little better than the semi. And again, I don't think it's like, it's not going to make any match of the year lists or anything like that. Yo is a guy who he's another one who I think I just have a limit to how much I can enjoy him. I'm totally over him. I think he peaked as a young lion.
Oh yeah,
I think
Yohei
Komatsu.
I used to write the Yohei Komatsu write-ups in the New Japan ebook every single year, and I was always like, Yo's gonna be the man. I just know it. He's gonna be this. He's gonna be that. And it's like, man, going back and looking at those to where he's at now, it's just like, fuck.
He's a good wrestler, and but I think he peaked. I think his best work was as a young lion. I know that sounds crazy, but now Sho, I think he peaked during that brief period where he was a babyface Power Junior. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I love that stuff.
And he was like wrestling Shingo and for Never with the Never title and everything. Like, then he joined House of Torture, and it's just been, he doesn't care, and I don't blame him. Why should he care? He gets to go out there with the wrench, and he doesn't have to bump that much, and he's probably making good money and all those things. And but those two guys, man, I thought they were going to be big time guys for a decade, and it didn't work out for either one of them. It's kind of sad. But anyway, I thought this was the best match on the show, probably 3 3/4, somewhere in that range. As far as the rest of the tour, I would say check out the teams that you're interested in. If you're a fan of the teams, yeah, it's worth your time, but that's really the only top to bottom show so far that I can recommend to our listeners. The second Korakuen show had the good energy but it wasn't as good of a show as the first Korakuen show, even though it had the same energy, because some of the other shows have had poor energy as well.
So this is obviously all leading to Power Struggle, where the finals of the tournament's going to happen. Real quickly, the matches on Power Struggle, we will review that next week on the Flagship. You have obviously the Super Junior Tag League finals. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Oleg Boltin versus Evil and Ren Narita. TMDK, Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes defending the IWGP tag titles against Great Okan and Hanare. Dookie defending the junior heavyweight title against Master Wato. David Finlay defending the global heavyweight title against Taichi. This match is a threat right now. Sonata versus Shota Umino. What are you? My
well,
God.
I think Shota Umino is going to get a big win. It's going to be over a former champion.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going to be, because maybe they are going to do Shota Umino versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Well,
and maybe Kenny Omega is going to wrestle Tanahashi as part of Tanahashi's. But Tanahashi's wrestling Evil. They already announced that. But maybe he's going to wrestle Kenny the next night. So. Yeah. With the two shows, there's a lot of different places you can go. I saw you hated the Tanahashi Evil announcement. Look, am I looking forward to that? No. Have they been building that match? Yes. Do I think it's fine to get Tanahashi out there so he can do a high fly flow and beat a heel on his second to last Wrestle Kingdom? I think it's fine. I don't have a major problem with it. Did you see Dookie call out Sammy Guevara?
I did see that. that. Dookie and Sammy
Guevara.
Looks like they have a little bit of they've crossed paths at some border towns, right?
Oh yeah. They've been on shows together. Yeah. Sammy Guevara, he used to tag team and travel with Lowrider. I don't know if you know that guy or remember him.
I remember Lowrider. Yeah. LO-Rider, right? Wasn't it LO-Rider? I think was
LOW. Like,
it was LOW. Okay,
the Lowrider, but he got a couple shots on AEW Dark in the pandemic through Sammy. People might remember him from that, but and yeah, Dookie. I saw Dookie wrestle, WrestleMania weekend in Dallas on that Lucha show where La Parka almost died. Dookie wrestled on that show. Sammy wasn't on that one. Dookie, he wrestled in Texas plenty, and even to the point where I saw him live a couple times. So yeah, they might be buddies. I think those guys might be buddies. So that might be a match that they make for the show on the 5th. Especially, if Dookie called him out, it's probably not an accident.
And then your main event's going to be Zack Sabre Jr. and Shingo for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. That should be pretty fucking awesome. So looking forward to that main event. And there you go. So that's New Japan Power Struggle. Again, that's on Monday. That's November 4th from Edion Arena, Osaka. So we will then be reviewing that on the Flagship next week. But that is for next week, because we are done here on this week's show. Of course, flagshippatreon.com, where you're going to want to go to get all of the bonus audio and all the bonus written content that we do. You did a Flagship Plus earlier this week talking about West Coast Pro, Deadlock Pro, and Prestige's Vegas collective show, quote unquote collective show, what they're going to be doing for WrestleMania weekend in Vegas this year, reviews of AEW Rampage and AEW Collision. I, of course, wrote the write-up about the WWE ID program. You're going to have all the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame audio on there as well. We just wrapped up another show yesterday that will be up by the time most of you guys listen to this as well. Mike Gilbert from the Mike and JD show joined us to talk about modern U.S. and Canada. Plus, you get all the archives of all of our other Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame discussions on there as well. You're going to get a new episode of AEW Change the World, where I go back and look at old AEW pay-per-views. That's coming up very soon as well, probably within the next 2-3 days. I'll have that all recorded and posted. So plenty of stuff available for you there at flagshippatreon.com. But that's all for us. So voicesofwrestling.com. Previews, reviews, and columns, all the other good stuff. And voicesofwrestling.com, go to our YouTube page as well. youtube.com/voicesofwrestling. We're trying to grow that page as much as we can, so make sure you go on there and like and subscribe and do all the other fun stuff that we want you to do. So that is it for us. That is Joe. I'm Rich. We'll talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye. And by the way, Joe, the Dodgers have won the World Series. I don't know if you knew that, but
Yeah, I got it on.
I didn't know if you were going spoiler free on the World Series, but
no, I don't. I can't watch taped sports.
No, if you knew that everybody else knew what the result of the sport was going to be, especially the champion, you can't do that. But yeah, your Dodgers are your champions.
I do not watch recorded games. If I miss a game live, I just find the fucking score. I cannot watch a game knowing it's already over.
It's tough. It's real hard. I think I can, and I can't, because there was a while where I would like DVR like Bulls games and wake up in the morning and watch them. And I'm like, I can't do this, because then you're like a prisoner to your phone. You're like, I don't want to pick up my phone, because then someone's going to be like, whoa, did you see that? And I'm like, what? What did I see? What happened? You can't do that. So I'm the same way with you. But anyway, congratulations to the Dodgers, I guess.
No, I ain't saying that. You can say that.
Nah, not me
I don't
either.
have to be happy about this.
Screw both these teams.
I don't have time for that rant.
Screw both these teams. Yeah, we do not have time, but maybe we can do a Flagship Plus all about that. But anyway, that is it for us. That is Joe. I'm Rich. Talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the #1 show all about the world of Joshi Pro Wrestling. Episodes drop every other Monday, where we discuss the biggest Joshi news, review shows, and preview the hottest upcoming Joshi action.
So whether you're a new fan or an old fan, we've got something here for you at Jumping Bomb Audio.
Check us out on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.